What's going on, my YouTubers? It is your boy Ghostface Gaming back once again, back in Valhalla, man. I really need to finish out my season in Destiny. I'm at like 90, 91, so it'll be a big achievement for me personally if I hit 100. But yo, I'm so enamored in this Assassin's Creed, man.
Here you are, Hytham. The last of the oldest sigils. You will find King Alfred's among them.
King Alfred? Did our poor fellow soldier lead you to his hiding place?
He did, but they were one and the same.
Oh
Our
yeah,
poor
don't
fellow
mind the
soldier
background.
Christ was the Grand
I am
Magister of
currently
the Order of the
listening to a
Ancients.
He
podcast.
turned on his own order. Fascinating.
Not turned so much as trembled. His devotion to Christ and what he calls the universal order set him against them from the start. With all sincerity, he loathed the title and the duty he had inherited and wished them destroyed.
Wonderful. With his abdication, the last stronghold of the order has been dismantled. All that remain are scraps here and there. And you, Eivor. Now that you have seen our enemy and you understand our cause, I wonder if you would join us. Come again.
This is your ultimate goal, trial by fire. It is a kind offer, but I do not believe we fight for quite the same cause. Your creed demands that you keep your triumphs hidden. I prefer my glory to be in plain view for all to see.
But if you spend the time mind to another
But know this, I would give my life at the moment for those I loved and love me in return. All here, including you, friend.
I understand well, Eivor. Very well indeed.
Repair that.
Are caged flesh with stunning justice and most mouth-watering twist.
When they open up that box of chocolate, it ain't gonna be what they thought it was.
I hope you stay through for dessert. All drag races are here next week and only on VH1.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka All Fires. You know, in the last 2+ weeks since that big release, we have been getting a ton of reveals about Spider-Man No Way Home. All kinds of writers, directors, top Marvel brass, even Tom Holland and the co-stars and stuff. However, today may be the biggest reveal of all, coming from a concept artist who worked on Spider-Man No Way Home, who shared what's the first look of Tom Holland in the Venom symbiote. That's right, the Black Venom symbiote costume, and hashtag Spider-Man 4. We've got all 4 images and the original tweet for you here in case it gets deleted. There's something curious about this tweet I'm going to point out, and it's not just the first look at the symbiote, which is incredible. We're breaking it all down, but first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're actually announcing a brand new PlayStation 5 winner at the end of this video. We're giving away the next one at 940,000 subscribers, and the way things are going, we'll probably get that by month's end. If you want to be entered to win, it's super simple. Just be a subscriber to the channel, so hit the sub button. Leave a comment down below, and if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll announce a brand new PS5 winner there. So this tweet is officially coming from Thomas Newcrest, who tweeted this out earlier. While I wait for the green light to show the work I did on hashtag Spider-Man No Way Home, here's a small take of what might come next. Hashtag Spider-Man, hashtag No Way Home, hashtag Venom, hashtag Dark Suit, hashtag Symbiote, hashtag Tom Holland, concept art, Spider-Man 4, artists on Twitter, character design, artwork, and Spider-Verse. Now, Thomas Ducrest is one of the official concept artists who worked on Spider-Man No Way Home, and it's curious to me, if he didn't have the green light for that work, why in the world he felt comfortable sharing this. However, this may not be work for hire. That's the first point I want to put forward, is that this may be listed as official Spider-Man 4 first look. While it is a first look at Tom Holland, Venom Symbiote concept art is just a personal work of his own, and then not to work for hire to Marvel, as he puts it, a first take. However, since he worked on Spider-Man No Way Home and then do have concept artists, more than working on Spider-Man 4, we all know where that's leading. The inevitability of the post-credit scene that shows Venom Symbiote
Letter
left
to
over
nephew,
in
part
MCU.
3,
It's
rest
obvious
circle
Josh Gordon's
plus they
crossing
got me,
over with
blag,
Tom
the
Hardy's
bitches
Venom.
got
It's
me,
not an
I hope you're
if-but-when
happy,
scenario.
if you
Now
ride
we're
this,
looking at the
just
first
take the
concept
stuff
art.
at the North
One of the
Temple
artists
and
might
run,
already
tell
be
your
assigned
mother
to
I'm
work on
sorry.
said project. I think the chance that he shared this live pretty much says that this is his own working take, but someone official at Marvel just the same, and a good first look at what it might be when Tom Holland gets the symbiote costume, finally integrating the white Spider-Man symbol. But guys, let me know all your thoughts and reaction down below. How hype are you to eventually see this, and do you think this is going to be a Venom 3 or a Spider-Man 4? Which do you think is coming first? Maybe it's Morbius, or is that going to have Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? Kind of hard to keep up at this point. It kind of feels like it's post Spider-Man 3. Either way, let me know all your thoughts down below. Quickly, let's get into the PS5 giveaway for the 920,000 subscriber mark. Okay, so this is how it goes, guys. We've been doing PS4 Pros and PS5s at this channel since its inception.
Tom Holland was good in that game.
Subscribers. So instead of giving one away every week, there's 100,000 subscriber mark past. We're giving away PS5 every 20,000 subscribers, which, as it would have it, has been about one a month for the last 2 or 3 months or so. As we head into 940,000 subscribers, if you want to be entered to win the next one, if you didn't win this one, all the same rules apply. Just tag the sub button if you comment on this video, or videos you comment on, better chance you have of winning. Congratulations to Jonathan Flores for this comment here. Can't wait for the next Spider-Man. Either DM me on Instagram at IamFires, or go ahead and email me at my business email. It's on the About section of the channel. I'll go ahead and verify your account, guys. I have a full system. I've already subscribed to his account. I verify it through a code. A lot of you try to claim these every time there's a winner announcement. I haven't been fooled yet, so please save me some time and don't claim it unless you're the winner. Jonathan, go ahead, reach out. I've already been to your channel. I'll verify it and get it right out. Thank you so much for all of your support. And this really is, guys, it goes out to all of you. That's why I'm giving away these giveaways more frequently. And they're really just thank yous to the channel. I barely do any advertisement or third-party integration. These giveaways are just about giving back to the community. And it's just about as simple as that. If you want to all your subscribers and better channel, all winners will be announced at the end of videos. Same way we're doing here. Content will always get the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you liked today's video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. My name is Michael Roman. Find me in a couple of places: Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes under the name AllFires. I make original music, including the songs you heard in the background of this video. And while I appreciate you checking that channel out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again.
Since I was a child, I felt like greatness was in store for me.
Let's make Russia crazy. Everybody gather round.
It is.
No, you don't talk, my love.
Oh, of course.
You've got goals. We've got connections. Meet our investment providers.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you are new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that sub button. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the awesome content we have coming out. And with this video, we are jumping into the Darkhold Omega. This will be the final issue, closing out this Darkhold line. And if you haven't been keeping up with it, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is going to get you completely caught up on everything that has been happening with this conflict and the Darkhold. But with this being our finale, it all comes down to this. With our 5 heroes reading out of the Darkhold, they were meant to gain the power so they could take down the god known as Cthulhu. But along the way, they lost their minds. And so now we find out if it was all worth it. Be sure to check out the other videos that I have put up today. Our new hero, Captain Krakoa, and the finale to X-Men's Inferno. Be sure to buy the comics, support the industry, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright, gang, so as we dive into the Omega issue of the Darkhold, we are seeing all 5 of our Darkhold defenders. They read too much into the book, and because of this, reading too much out of the book, it has turned them all completely rabid, with the Scarlet Witch trying to let them know that they all need to remember they have come to fight Cthulhu, but they do not lack the memory. The Scarlet Witch is the one that told them to read from the book, and now that they have turned into whatever they are, the Scarlet Witch wants to try to backtrack, with the Scarlet Witch holding them off, throwing the book to Victorious so we can get back to Doom. We see the 5 defenders trying to take out the Scarlet Witch, with her pleading with them, telling them that this was the only way. They had to be filled with madness to go into other realms. This was the only way they wouldn't go completely insane once they arrived in Cthulhu's realm. Using her power and her control of the bands, she is able to lock all of them up. None of them able to move, at least temporarily, while she opens up the portal to other realms. With the portal now open up, she tells her friends to remember who you are, to remember what you are fighting against. Now, she doesn't know the outcome of what will happen to our 5 defenders, but what she is hoping for is that they are able to weaken him long enough for her to be able to make her attack. And so with our 5 arriving in other realm, they are quickly met by the previous defenders. Losing in battle, they have been taken over on. And so Iron Man, Blade, Black Bolt, Spider-Man, and Wasp, they have to take on these defenders. Making quick work of them, they are quickly met by the armies of Cthulhu. And with Cthulhu not showing his face, they are going to make him come. And that starts by taking out his army. And what they want to do is kill Cthulhu, and the 5 of them take over his throne, be the gods of Otherrealm, saying that they will deal with Scarlet Witch at a later time. If they take the throne now, the power they will get will be so immense, Otherrealm will become 5 times worse than it ever was. And it doesn't take long for the 5 of them to completely lay waste to the entire army. And this was enough to get the attention of Cthulhu, with the ground rumbling underneath their feet, with it cracking and breaking into pieces. We see a hand arise, scooping the 5 of them up. It begins to close down on them, with the Wasp growing in size and doing everything she can to stop them. All of them, with the power of just being too great. She is unable to hold this for a very long time, but looking for her, a wandering stranger is alive, coming into the sacred day, trying to blast of energy, shoots out in all directions, and this stops them from being crushed into the hand. None of them having any clue who this individual is. Not sure where he came from, not sure if he's one of Cthulhu's blackness. Blade goes in to make an attack, and our stranger knocks him for a freaking loop. But before the 5 of them move on, the ground starts to all of the heroes laid out on the ground with our random stranger completely winded. How would him to fight anymore, expending his power to be able to stop all of the heroes from
Deep in
being
the trenches,
squished.
boy.
Cthulhu goes to walk through the gateway that will lead him to Earth. The only issue with that is there is a barrier, something stopping him from breaking through. That something is the Scarlet Witch and Victor Von Doom, with Doom holding the Darkhold. The two of them are about ready to battle Cthulhu, and with Cthulhu throwing a huge blast at them, the Scarlet Witch and Doom combining their spells, they are able to protect themselves, and the Scarlet Witch lets him know that the book showed her the true Darkhold. It cannot be destroyed, and neither can Cthulhu, and though Earth may have been once his, Doom lets him know, now that he has the book, he will embody it. Doom will bind him and seal his. It's not his revenge, and we see the Scarlet Witch set Doom ablaze, with him bursting into flames. The Darkhold is flung out of his hands, and it is caught by the Scarlet Witch. Because after everything that she has been through, after everything her and Cthulhu have gone through, this revenge belongs to her. And as Cthulhu goes to take out the Scarlet Witch, we see her grab the book, do a quick spell, and the book is absorbed into the Scarlet Witch. And now she is truly able to fight back, because the book is the only thing that has real power over Cthulhu. And now every fiber of that book, every evil drop, it exists inside of the Scarlet Witch. The true Darkhold, and for Cthulhu being absorbed into the Scarlet Witch, him once possessing her, she now possesses him. And with the Scarlet Witch absorbing Cthulhu into her, he is now trapped inside this prison. With our 5 heroes, still driven by madness, they go to attack the Scarlet Witch to take all of this for their own. But the Scarlet Witch sending them back to Earth, them transformed into their regular selves. Because now that she has the book, now that it is contained inside of her, she was able to rewrite the influence it had over all of them. With the Scarlet Witch thanking every single one of them for all of their work, it still remains. Who was our stranger? Who was the individual that came to help us in other realms? And that's what takes us to Pennsylvania. And we find our wandering stranger, with the Wasps coming to let them know that they were happy to have the assist. They are grateful for his help, but the question still remains, who the heck are you? And we learned that long ago, he departed on a dimensional pilgrimage, being way to other realms. He has sat and observed for all of this time. But this individual's name is James Michael Starling. This is Omega the Unknown, hailing from the 1970 comics, having a revamp.
Letter to nephew, part 3, press circle close.
Omega the Unknown is someone that we have not seen for quite some time. But now, free from other realms, he has made his way back to Earth. Now, meanwhile, in upstate New York, sitting down having a conversation is the Scarlet Witch and Victor Von Doom. Now, obviously, Doom at this point, he is furious because he wanted that power. Not only that, the Scarlet Witch set him on fire, but after she had been used by him, she will never be done setting him ablaze. She knew that he would make this about himself. His ego has always been his downfall, because even in defeat, he still thinks that he is better than the Scarlet Witch, letting Doom know that he can no longer threaten her. Their feud is locked away in the past, the darkness that she will always carry along with her. This is a new page for the Scarlet Witch, and finally, she is free. And that will be the end of this series. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I really have had a lot of fun with this Darkhold run. Most of the stories surrounded our individuals reading the book and the what-if stories that happened to them. Now, of course, we saw it was all temporary. Everything went back to normal. But these are situation stories that could happen, and they were in fact left different memories to remind them of the small changes that can change their course of history forever, change their fate, and they can go down a very dark path. But what we are learning is the Scarlet Witch, she has become one with the Darkhold. This makes her one of the most characters in Marvel Comics. I mean, we literally just saw her create a heaven, and now she is absorbing the Darkhold. Not sure if this was before or after those events, but regardless, they are making her one of the heaviest hitters to be currently written right now. And so it'll be very interesting to see how they handle her moving forward. Having all of this power inside of her, all of this chaos magic, the Darkhold, everything, we can only imagine if she's going to be seen as a threat by a lot of people. Maybe even part of mutant themselves, because it wasn't necessarily said that she was accepted back as a mutant. They call her the Redeemer, but we can only imagine people are going to be terrified as she grows more and more powerful. And then you have to worry about how are you going to fight someone this powerful, and what are you going to put her up against?
Right.
What threats could be out there that could honestly compete with this kind of power that we haven't seen before? Or are they going to end up moving her along the way, taking the power away from her? This leaves us with tons of questions. But if mankind could ever use an ally, Scarlet Witch is exactly what they need on their side right now, especially with everything going on in Otherworld, everything going on in the moon around Mars. Having Nimrod, having Morpheus, all of these things stacked into time. They need allies like the Scarlet Witch. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you don't miss any of the awesome content we have coming out. And until the next breakdown.
SWAT bands are the ultimate tactical outdoor bands. Nice in your pocket.
Letter to cultist, press circle.
The last pair of pants you can ever need to buy. Click below to secure 50% off today with free shipping.
Press share to open the quest log and draft a new quest.
Yourself with SWAT bands and be prepared for anything. Nine secure pockets, waterproof coating, and a handy hairband can strengthen and need this multiple fabric than just for quits. In fact, the only necessity is strength up to the limit. Adventure of your life and discover why 50,000 men across the world choose SWAT bands. We have an every size, from small to triple extra large. Each year's collapse and incredibly fit. Double close. Your SWAT bands with 50% off plus free shipping. Be prepared for action. Be prepared for life. Because the adventure never stops.
I sometimes think Retta makes these a peach morning just to keep us all busy.
The cousin dies. Incorrect. The Darkhold AH-15M42 X-rated informers have witnessed a terrible scene while exploring the region. The Darkhold has established itself in a forest to
There's
practice
good coin to be
their
made
rituals to glorify
taking
death
this target
deities.
down. This seems slightly underwhelming for you. Just saying.
We just saw it as he placed a hand on Kakarot's face, stating that this was for his own good. Goku was surprised by this sudden display of affection. He had swiftly kneed in the stomach. The force of the blow knocked the wind out of Goku as he dropped to his knees. The jesting told him that as long as he had a lot of work to do ahead. Bulma tried to stop them, but it was too late. They were gone. As Chi-Chi and Grandpa Gohan helped up Goku, he cursed under his breath. Goku said he wasn't being serious, but he did feel the storm brewing. Vegeta, Kakarot had known that his brother had struggled with his desire.
Welcome. Come see what I have.
Promised Bulma and everyone else to go and see, as well as talk to them soon.
You should always have some of these.
Pickle English General English used to enhance the quality of a piece of beer from superior to flawless gunner.
Wonderful. No refund.
Carbon English General English used to enhance the quality. Iron Predator Arrows Rations General Rations.
Never been used. Brand new.
It was time he learned something new. One final technique that may help him against his brother. He knew they didn't have much time and would have to do. He was going to teach him the way he moved, how he instinctively.
You sure there isn't something else you wanted?
Shiroshi was much better at it, but he wanted to have this time to teach Kakarot one.
I must take my leave.
Thus,
So long.
over the next few days, Gohan worked diligently with Goku to help him enter this mindset. This lack of ego. It was no transformation. Just instinct. Goku noticed a huge difference by the end of it. He couldn't quite do it well. This was a heightened stage of being, where one needs no key and achieves enlightenment. It's a very advanced form of martial arts. And Goku's up to an explosion. Vegeta had destroyed the chamber from inside out. She resigned to call over Goku. He soon arrived, up on the flying Nimbus. She held on to Goku as they flew towards the lookout, where Chi-Chi and Grandpa Gohan, as well as little Gohan and Piccolo, were waiting for them. Had offered them sanctuary there, while things were turbulent back down the portal room. Goku promised he would bring back Vegeta. He sensed his ki rising. He was heading towards the Earth's capital. And to rule the world, he wasn't going to let them get in his way. Goku let Chi-Chi and Gohan go home, so they would be safe in case something happened. Grandpa Gohan would stay behind as well to protect them in case anything happens. He looked at Goku and Piccolo, wishing them good luck, knocking some sense into Vegeta. Goku gives them a thumbs up as the two warriors rush towards Vegeta's kingdom. She put a hand on Bulma's back, ensuring her that it would be okay. Bulma said that she hoped so, and she rubbed her belly. She grabbed Bulma's eyes, pointed to Goku and reached the capital, realizing that some of the Earth warriors had felt the presence as well, and found their way there. Krillin, Yamcha, and even Tien arrived. It was a scene of pure destruction as Vegeta swooped tanks and soldiers with every movement. Hellfire surrounded them, and Vegeta welcomed them, holding onto the King Earth, one hand and a key ball burning in the other. Before the battle began, Vegeta extended out his arm to the fighters. He acknowledged them as weaklings, and knew that Kakarot would never join him. Once again, they saw things his way. He knew how necessary power was to protect others. He offered them a chance to join him in his quest to protect Earth. Goku's head spun to look at them. Piccolo crossed his arms, explaining that if anyone is to take over Earth, it would be him, not Vegeta. The prince scoffed and turned to look at Tien. He looks down. He could feel the terrible power that Vegeta held. It was too weak for him, and Vegeta wants to defeat him. He must know something much scarier than himself. Tien thought of Chaozu, and began to float with him. The prince smiled, welcoming him as a new ally, declaring that this planet now belonged to the Prince of All Saiyans. The battle began with an explosive Kigo-Ho from Tien down the fighters. Watched him, with Goku yelling back at Krillin and Yamcha to take care of Tien, while Piccolo and himself will handle Vegeta. Tien fights Krillin and Yamcha. Despite their best efforts, it doesn't go well. After losing to Vegeta in the previous World Tournament, Tien vowed to get stronger and followed a new path so he could one day challenge Vegeta. As a result, he trained non-stop for years, which resulted in him becoming stronger. Yamcha tries to keep Tien busy, rushing him down with a Wolf-Fang fist. As Krillin charges a Kamehameha, Tien witnesses this as he focuses his ki, creating 2 extra arms behind his back. As Tien blocks each of Yamcha's strikes, he uses 2 of his hands, as he uses his other 2 hands to redirect the Kamehameha. Krillin, the bald man, is sent flying and nearby over. Elsewhere, Goku and Piccolo are able to put up a better fight, just where They have an advantage in numbers, and they know each other's techniques and movements better than anyone. However, Vegeta is still an overwhelming force. He's the strongest being to ever appear in the history of Earth, and he knows it. Vegeta is confident that he can crush these two fools. Perhaps he may be too confident in his battle, which could give the pair a much-needed opening. This moment comes when Piccolo manages to block one of Vegeta's punches and immediately counterattacks by appearing above Vegeta and slamming him down to the ground with his elbow. The ground cracks into a small crater as Vegeta grabs Piccolo and slams him back down, leaving him thrown on the dirt. Vegeta stands back up, ready to fire a point-blank ki blast when, suddenly, a rocket launched from far away, exploding behind Vegeta, which catches him by surprise. Vegeta turns around, asking out loud who dares interrupt the battle. In the distance, a giant mech stands tall and smoke flaring from his chest. It was the Pilaf machine. Both Goku and Vegeta stand in shock, with Piccolo yelling at the Pilaf gang to get away. This wasn't their battle.
Updated note, press circle close, interloper, C5 if you wish to pass beyond. We have no further use for the tools that have failed us. GGGG.
They're tired of seeing Vegeta in this pain. Vegeta's taken aback by this, and Shu chimes in, saying that he knows how much he's hurting. He's shouldering the burden of the world on his own, and it kills them to see him like this. But that doesn't mean he should save them all like this. This isn't. Mai jumps in to say that before it's too late, because they all care about him. They're sick of him. Of course, to save his life. While Vegeta is distracted, thinking about what he just heard, Piccolo regains his footing.
The mod is coded, page II, press circle close, another silence. Mod is opened his mouth, inhaled, and shut it without speaking. We just this permission to ourselves. The woman said, we are the source of our own purpose. None said a word in reply. The woman looked us over. It seemed that she was neither pleased nor dissatisfied with our silence. Then she began pacing the room, slowly, turning about and looking around our Hinda with an expression that verged on nostalgia or satisfaction. With this knowledge, she continued, with this understanding comes a great and terrible freedom, the freedom to rise or fall, to live or die, by your own volition. This is why our creed puts us keenly as a double-edged sword. You must take this paradox to heart. The success or failure of our brotherhood depends on your willingness to live in the unfeeling emptiness of this world, as if lost in Tartarus, alone and hoping against hope that door will one day open and let in the light, and that you shall exit, not alone, but with all your brothers and sisters at your side. The woman stopped for a moment to run her hand over a dilapidated stony pillar. She seemed to be reliving an old or half-forgotten memory. Catching herself, she stepped away and continued, because they were with you all along, your brothers and sisters, beside you in the shadows. You walked in the darkness in silence, but you were never alone.
Vegeta and Gohan stare down, while Roshi stood before Tien. Roshi tells Tien that he mustn't let fear and doubt cloud his new path, that he changed for the better already. Must not go back to what he used to be. Meanwhile, Gohan pleads with Vegeta to reconsider his actions and stop this before it's too late. He was not only his student, but his son. Vegeta's heart dropped for this, but he couldn't stray from his goal now. Even as a tear fell from his face, Vegeta gets angry and adamantly proclaims that he's doing this to save everyone. Tien is quiet, feeling conflict in his heart. Without any other choice, Roshi and Gohan tell their pupils to sit back and watch. This will serve as a reminder that brute force is not the way of the Turtle School, and it is not the only way to win a battle. Tien and Vegeta go into attack, but are stunned to see the old masters dodge their attacks. While both are shocked, Vegeta is the one who is truly aghast. He had become vastly stronger, faster, and smarter since he arrived on this planet many years ago. But still, he can't seem to touch Gohan. Gohan tells Vegeta that this is one technique he knew the prince always struggled with. However, it's something Kakarot is starting to grasp, which infuriates Vegeta. Gohan extends his hand out to Vegeta with a sad smile, telling him that his pride has stripped him, but he does not belong. He can't give up his soul for this pride. Vegeta stands his ground. His pride is the one thing he will never throw away. Vegeta manages to successfully hit Gohan away and knock him into the king's castle.
One's contract. Press circle plus GMVS Pact Execution Imperator Severus flouts the terms of our treaty with Aurelius. He has arrived in Britannia to oversee the fort.
Shaking uncontrollably, they expect him to get furious. He's not. Goku looks
Press
down.
share to open the quest log and track a new quest.
Gohan's lesson is not fighting. Goku takes slow steps towards Vegeta and asks him why he fights.
Press share to open the quest log and track a new quest.
To save others for the real battle. his point is that as long as Vegeta doesn't understand why he fights, he'll never be able to protect him, let alone keep time. Goku's ki skyrockets as
Evacuation
everyone
order.
sees a white glow surround his body. Krillin and Tien remark that they don't sense any ki to leave his body, as Roshi smiles, saying that he's done it. Goku has let go of his ego and obtained enlightenment. The no ego zone. Don't mistake this, true believers. This isn't Ultra Instinct.
Press share to
Don't
open the
use it.
quest log
But
and
it's
track a
an
new
impressive
quest.
martial arts technique that Master Roshi did show off during the Tournament of Power in the manga. Goku turns to tell Roshi to take care of Gohan, then turns to Vegeta, telling him that their fight will continue somewhere away from everyone, somewhere private, where the Saiyans gone, Tien's no other choice but to use the multi-form technique to fight the rest of the Z fighters. But seeing what Vegeta did to Gohan definitely made his passion falter, and slowly he found a lack of hope for victory. Piccolo finally pointing a blast to his face, he told him to give up, and Tien resigned from the battle. Felt like he would stop. A desolate wasteland, following from Saiyans. As the two Saiyans stare each other down, Goku and Vegeta argue about Gohan's teachings. Vegeta only sees them as means to defeat Frieza, while Goku sees them as a way to better oneself. Vegeta argues that the world has Saiyan never finished. This actually makes Goku understand that he isn't just a low-class Saiyan. While the battle is initially in Goku's favor, upon entering the no-ego zone and dodging Vegeta's attacks, Vegeta's anger grows, more and more powerful. Goku realizes that he can't stay in the no-ego zone for long without sustaining mental strength. Slowly, Vegeta gets the upper hand, unyielding his attack. He was so strong at that his body failing to dodge most of the punches means nothing. When each punch landed, counted as 100. Vegeta lands one more punch against Goku's face, making the Saiyan fall on his back. Vegeta continues to punch over and over, angry, and slowly let up. Goku spat on the side, then looked at Vegeta's eyes. They were pleading with him to give up. Goku smirked, however, saying, I could do this all day. Goku's aura exploded, pushing the Saiyan through his back. Just for a second, his hair turned golden. Vegeta's dagger used to rise. He couldn't really understand whatever that power was. It took a lot out of the younger Saiyan. Vegeta knew this was it. This next move would end the fight with the last strength. Goku stood back up, cupped his hands. Vegeta did
No explanation.
Hi, friend. I have a hoard of silver I'm making to spend. Can you help me? What have you got?
I have nothing left to trade, but Coppergate Market is the right place. Ask around. You'll find someone who'll bend an ear.
My thanks.
In his hand. He needed to concentrate. He couldn't hold the blast for much longer, and they don't keep the zone even less. He had a plan. He just needed an opening. Vegeta could see the world under his command, endless resources to train and defeat Frieza. But even as he thought this, he felt bad, imagining all those people as subjects. He saw himself in them. He just becoming another Frieza for the sake of revenge. Goku's eyes have bolted open. Vegeta's attack did not waver.
Good day.
He could feel something was wrong within Vegeta's mind. He took this
Merchant.
Goku spun on his heel, taking full advantage of the no-ego zone, letting go of the blast for just a second, dodging the
Don't have an
Kamehameha.
eye for these
Hunters Well
things.
Scheme Settlement Cosmetics Schmatic.
On the side of the
Food Driven
blast, Goku
Weapon
smirked,
Rack Scheme Settlement Cosmetics Schmatics for a
It's
second.
good to change
Small
things every
Alter
now and
Scheme
then.
as if it was
Anything
concealed.
else?
It was
Each shot.
time. For the
Leave.
first time in
I'm
his
off.
life,
Be well,
Goku
friend.
has defeated his brother, not by fighting as a Saiyan, but by fighting as an Earthling. Vegeta realized this as he regained consciousness. Vegeta himself could do it. He could fight as an Earthling, as he had done so before. Now he just
Are you going to enter the water or not?
perhaps with the help of his brother.
A moment in frozen water is a minor bit of suffering for a lifetime serving the Great Father.
One does not
Smiled.
receive the Holy
He smiled
Spirit
back.
under the watchful
His
eye
response
of
was
God
very
A
simply to
moment in
improve
frozen
strength.
water is a minor bit of suffering for a lifetime serving the Great Father.
Still alive.
Do
Vegeta
it.
sighed in relief and apologized.
That man
He realized
needs a
now
push
that he
or a
was
good
doing
scare.
wrong, that he should have more faith in him and everyone else. They still have a lot of training to do if they want to defend Earth, but it's a possibility. They can do it.
One
Goku says
cannot
that he's
become
glad
one
that
of
he
God's
finally
children
understands.
without going through
And
the
the others
proper ritual.
don't know if they can
You
trust
know,
him just yet.
I have avoided the water for weeks, and I do not intend to freeze this
Earth
Europe.
runs up to
No
Vegeta,
wonder people
slapping
avoid
him
your
across
market
the face,
stall.
telling him
You
how much
positively
better he
reek.
was.
I have a delicate body. The cold will take the life out of me.
He placed his hand on Bulma's stomach.
I have a delicate body. The cold will take the life out of me.
There you go.
Cold! Cold! The ice waves are taking me! Sam!
Could only imagine that his son or daughter would be the
This
same
is not
way.
so bad.
You can't protect
Good
Earth,
God,
then
at
surely their
last.
kids could.
I
But never
hereby
mind that.
baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit within us all. You are now a child of God.
So,
Something
is this it?
very dark.
It
And
is.
similarly to
Go
Gopher
forth
Gigi's
and
wedding,
walk his
you and I,
holy
Baba's
steps,
present,
little child.
is to
if
weaken
his steps go to the
He
market,
does
then
so.
so be
Just
it.
his
But
space
first,
on being
I could
closed.
go for a nice
The
swim.
years, no more than a couple of years.
I have done enough.
Vegeta
You're
has his
cold.
friends to rely
This
on.
water is
He
great.
knows they can do it together. Whoever is on that space launch will be sorry they stepped on Earth. But that's for next time on Dragon Ball Z. Thanks for watching all 3 of What If the Saiyans Were Alive. Part 4 will be coming on Sunday. The like goal for this video is 300 likes. And then, as always, I have to give huge thank yous to Professor Shim. We had an awesome brainstorming session together and came up with some really cool ideas for this story. I'm really looking forward to future parts. Shout out to the Super Saiyan Legend, Super Saiyan God, and Ultra Instinct members of the channel, especially the Ultra Instinct members, Super Kami Mewtwo and Neo Woodcomb. Thank you guys for your help, and thank you to Wayne Antoine, Dustin Nelson, Sacred Saiyan, Neil J. Akir, Pizza Hut Kitman, Orlando Castellano, Anna Rowan, Sir Justice, Midnight Combatant, The Real Samuel Randall, and Zachary Croy. I couldn't do these without you guys. Anyways, be sure to follow me on Twitter at ShareYourEnergy, and until we meet again, see you guys.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe just most it, unless you want to be destroyed. Lord Beerus, that's hardly fair. But also, don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when he uploads new videos.
Introducing T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. Now you can get 5G high-speed internet, no annual contracts, no fees, and no BS. It's set up in less than 15 minutes. It's simple. With T-Mobile, you get up to 50% signal before you switch. Fast, reliable, 5G home internet for $50 a month. Nothing more.
Þetta er hann og þúm að vera ég heldur meðstæði. Ekki nú.
Well, if you were wondering what Tom Holland's Spider-Man would look like if he was wearing Eddie Brock's film studio, well, the good news is we got our first look. So let's talk about the source and maybe what was going on here with this suit and the plans and what was happening. So first up, there are actually 2 images we are going to go over here. There's the one where Tom Holland's face is exposed because the mask is not on, and then there's a second one where the mask is on. Now to talk about both of these, I think it's exactly what you would expect the suit to look like if you took the Venom movie suit and slapped it on top of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And you guys know how I like to do this, so let's start with the round up approach. So making our way up the suit, I definitely gave the whole like organic look to it. That looks like a great translation of what you can get in the suit and put it into the MCU. The logo is a little weird, and those white things all over it are a little weird in an MCU version of the suit. But again, once you see it in motion, I think it would have looked better. Now, as we make our way up, again, the logo, it's exactly what you want. Then you got the mask there in the eyes, which I think were pretty much spot on to what you ultimately hope to get when you make this suit like see art that's pretty much exactly like this. So this is exactly what I think that you want. The art, this was posted by multiple scoopers out there.
and being reported as real. Now, some people have come out and said, well, it's not. The original source said that it was, but maybe it backtracked at the time of this recording. I'm not sure. I haven't really followed it. Either way, though, if it's real or not, I think you gotta understand that they did concept art like very
Go,
100%, and you have to realize that it would have ended up something like this. And whatever happens next with Spider-Man, whether he faces Venom or not, and I mean Tom Holland's Spider-Man or another version of Spider-Man, whichever Peter or however happens to get on a Spider-Verse, the suit is going to be something like this, I would assume. Now again, I'm personally a little iffy on some of the aspects of it, but again, that's just because it's art, right? It's supposed to be a concept art. Maybe this guy did the concept art before it got out, and then, it wasn't accepted. This does happen. That's how we've gotten plenty of concept art before for canceled video games and other projects. But I do overall think that it looks good. I think, again, if you see this in motion, I think you completely go, yep, that's it, that's a winner. There's nothing I got a question about it, which makes me think that if they ultimately end up using this design, that it will look good in live action, and I do like this approach. Something slightly a little off, like I said, but overall, very satisfactory in my opinion.
Bonsoir, cher voisin. Dynamique ahead.
Still wearing enough layers to insulate an iceberg? It's time for a new pudding. Designed with 6 pockets, it's loved by thousands of men across the world. Why? Because it's 100% wind-proof, water-resistant, and ready to tackle the wild outdoors or the couch. Available in 4 colors to suit any adventure. This is the last hoodie you ever need to buy. Click the link below to choose your size and get 60% off with free delivery to your door. Break out of hibernation with 280 grams of Devil Napped Polar Fleece. The perfect blend of strength and comfort with the ultimate weather resistance. Finish with reinforced zips, hems, and cuffs. And an adjustable elastic waistband for an incredible fit. Never get baggy. It fits perfectly over clothes or on its own. Get superior wind and weight protection with a soft gel hood and extended peak. Enjoy extra mobility with its custom thumb holes for comfort and versatility. More space, big enough to stick in your pockets, 2 front pockets, small pockets, and 2 extra pockets at the back. It's your ultimate weatherproof comfort worldwide. Great for hiking, hunting, camping, fishing, traveling, or crawling up an iceberg on your hands and knees. Shop and order online. And we have an easy returns policy to make sure you get the perfect hoodie. Discover why men love the bearskin hoodie when you order yours today. Click the link below to choose your size and get 60% off with free delivery today. Go from the cities to the mountains. The bearskin hoodie.
Alpes alt winnes hand door. Och Shevan Kinenes Pinadis. He won al foreign volche, each was thona nappa.
Have you ever wondered if there's a limit to our imagination? As humans, we've always been on the move. With robotics technology, we open a new era of human advancement, where mobility defies imagination, where technology helps us overcome limitations, where the virtual and physical merge into one, in the new era of meta-mobility. With robotics, we strive to expand human reach. We never limit what we challenge.
Is na sipping ni kanzona, a shed also,
We challenge our
na
limits,
shoulder quick and button. They need to be there swelling.
expanding human reach.
I'm Spider-Man.
Welcome to Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy. In Spider-Man No Way Home, we finally got the iconic return of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. After a year of speculation, theories, leaks, and rumors about if Tobey and Andrew could return, the new question we all have is, when are they coming back? Tobey and Andrew both had rather abrupt endings to their time as the web-slinger. Tobey's Spider-Man 4 was deep in pre-production when Sony pulled the plug, and The Amazing Spider-Man 3 had a similar fate. Basically, Andrew Garfield wasn't pleased with the direction they were taking the franchise, and there was a lot of drama going on behind the scenes. You see, Andrew was set to appear at a Sony event where the studio planned to announce The Amazing Spider-Man 3, but opted not to come with the ruffled feathers of Sony.
You're gonna come down there and kill me?
Yes! With that whole situation, along with the poor reception of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, along with Marvel Studios wanting to partner with Sony on the Spider-Man reboot, put all that together, and...
On the route!
Tom Holland is our new Spider-Man. A lot of fans were more excited to see the Maguire return than Andrew Garfield told them. Peter number 3 brought the humor and charm that we expect from this part of Spider-Man.
I don't know if Toby is listening here, but it's nobody here.
Spider-Man went down the same path he did with his reaction after catching MJ. Andrew Garfield rivaled Willem Dafoe in the best part of the film. And we aren't alone in thinking. Fans and Andrew Garfield made it Spider-Man 2. And...
Yeah! Maybe not.
Under the hood, snake by a
but article speculation, not something that I assume because his action happened. Now, before we start speculating,
I need your eyes, my friend.
let's discuss what they've been up to all these years and what their futures might hold after experiencing multiversal travel firsthand. Unlike their villainous counterparts, we can assume that Tobey and Andrew were taken from roughly the same year the MCU is currently in, 2023, which means there's 17 years between Spider-Man 3 and No Way Home, and there's 10 years between The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and No Way Home. Both Spider-Men are still actively Spider-Manning all these years later. Andrew was in full Spidey getup when he was pulled into the MCU, and while Tobey was in his cool youth pastor costume, he had his Spidey suit on underneath. Now, a lot of us assume that after all the years that have passed since Spider-Man 3, that maybe Peter number 2 might have finally settled down with MJ and have a little May Parker running around. Maybe a Peter Parker who had finally mastered balancing being Peter Parker and Spider-Man. But the brief reference we get to Peter 2's current state of affairs, it sounds like he's still trying to do better. Now, this line gives the impression that even at his older age, he's still struggles with Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Peter does say that he's they're married, they have a daughter, and because their father was deaf, Parker to balance personal life and life of hero. Now, the version of Peter Parker, May gets spider powers and mentor her. So, if we would see Peter number 2 return in one of these movies, that could be correct. Okay, it's important to point out that we don't hear too many references to Peter's life after the last Solomon Spider-Man 3. We don't hear one of the past 17 years. I personally think that we're going to reference to John Knox, Vulture, 7 years on Spider-Man 4. I'm not good, it's fast! But overall, Peter does relatively good place in his life. 7 years later, he's still with him, still Spider-Man, even good spirit, even when finding himself in another universe. And in typical Peter Parker fashion, he's selfless and wants to track down Peter 1 because, in his sense, well, the same thing he said for Andrew. Quickly interjects because he says he wants to know Spider-Man. Andrew says that he does too. Now on to Peter 3. Probably about 28 years old, assuming that he was about 18 in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, July, he'll start with 38. And Paul Rudd doesn't. He starts with the episode. Well, we're going to say that after losing him, this is about after The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Peter Morgan wins Spider-Man 2. Then, after talking to Andrew,
You married the blood eagle.
I'll
kill you! Won't survive, fool!
No. I'm off! animals everywhere. I asked them to put their mechanized paws in the air. Now look at this. Over. Get over. So perhaps or done that.
Vito, break you!
Now, I'm wondering if the darkness is actually happening during Spider-Man. Perhaps while Spider-Man was no longer swinging around, Peter Parker himself would have been walking the streets at night at a criminal. So with no mercy, taking out his rage on him. This is actually how he reacted to death. Then, when he donned the costume to go fight Rhino, that's when he decided to go back to be more compassionate and lighthearted himself. Either way, the No Way Home is in the past that part of his life. No longer bitter and rageful, he's back to himself. Although a movie will be disrespectful, dapper, bitter and rageful, now let's discuss where Peter are absolutely this is also be great. Remember to watch that video for that question. But let's assume for a second that that's not the case. And if you're expecting to go right back to the moment in time they were taken from, or they drop back to the same location they were taken from, but however many hours they've been gone to the MCU would have also passed in this world. Now in this video, we also speculated villains leaving their universes to come to the MCU and that could result in two split timelines from the original one timeline in the year it never returned. One, when they returned to the exact moment in time they were taken from. This time, they make different choices. There are never still choices in the original series events, and there are still three directions in the timeline to go. But, one further reflection, one standard timeline for a total of 3 directions in the original timeline, which takes place in their respective movies, and then their new timeline, which is 36 hours up back to the 36 hours later, third and break the turn over. So, as for Peter 3, it's possible that the scenario here universally comes back a day or so later might not result in the time after all that day before. Now the question is, when will we see Logan return as Spider-Man? Well, like I mentioned, the possibility is still growing and the dark yet. Sam Raimi brings madness No Way Home. All of this has been wondering if the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4 is possible. If you had asked me this a little over a year ago, I would have said there was no chance in hell we'd ever see an Amazing Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man 4. After No Way Home, it seems like literally anything is possible. Now, would these new films take place before or after No Way Home? Would they be designed as Tobey and Andrew's final goodbye to Spider-Man? Would the general audience accept having 3 separate Spider-Man franchises going on at once? Now, we do have a video coming out soon about the direction of Spider-Man competitive, as well as what it would look like now if we pick it back up. So you kind of do that. If they don't get their own film, you can still see them pop up in the Spider-Man film. Or still, that's the Spider-Man. Matter dimensions of the film. This was a last video, and of course it implies different universes coming up. Spider-Man. The possibilities are endless. Personally, regardless, Spider-Man would fit nicely in the universe Venom and Morbius. Andrew Garfield and Tom Hardy would probably have a better rapport with their universe entirely mesh. But it sounds like Eddie Brock has never even heard of Spider-Man until he teleported to the MCU. And with Eddie being a reporter, you know about a superhero, Spider-Man, in New York if they exist in the universe. So it's unlikely that the Amazing-verse and the Venom-verse are the same. Landed in the wrong universe. And don't even get me started on more Venom references. Raimi-verse references and MCU references. I don't know where this takes place. I am so confused right now. I have no doubt that right now, Sony executives are discussing how to do another film featuring all the Spider-Man. Now, but is the general movie-going audience ready to have 2 8 and 3 live-action Spider-Man and Parker's one at the same time having separate dimensions? I mean, a personal one thing. live-action Spider-Man franchises all going at the same time, that's a lie. Spider-Man 4 could be a one-and-done. Final farewell to Spider-Man also could be his daughter Spider-Girl. If Sam Raimi's full creative control, and we'd be looking at a film that could rival even his Amazing Spider-Man 2. They love me. As for Andrew and Tom, we could have two versions of Spider-Man that maybe, every now and again, cross multiversal paths. Tom being Spider-Man that primarily plays in the MCU, and Andrew primarily in the Sonyverse. Scenario. I think the key to making it all work would be to make Tom and Parker and Spider-Man very different from one another, even more different than they already are. Establish that they are very different characters, and maybe even down the line we could see them doing things. But what Spider sequel do you want to see most? Let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell. For Screen Crush, I'm Reiner.
Introducing T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. Now you can get 5G high-speed internet, no annual contracts, no fees, and no BS. It's set up in less than 15 minutes. Simple. With T-Mobile, you get up to 50% savings when you switch. Fast, reliable, 5G home internet for $50 a month. Nothing more.
This is new operating classic with 33% more pepperoni for just $5.55.
In one of our previous videos, we mentioned the next Matrix project, and Matrix 2.0.
Hold options to show nearby quest.
We received many questions about it, as many of you believed that one of the producers of Matrix Resurrections had confirmed that there are no more Matrix productions planned because of the weak box office performance of the
Hold options to show nearby quest.
I told you that, like email in the simulation, most of the news about the Matrix these past few weeks are malicious lies.
Hold options to show nearby quest.
Explained. In an age where any news is quoted, the truth is lost in translation. The success or failure of The Matrix 4 is debatable. It is not as black and white as many people have led you to believe. For some, the only way to measure the success of a film is through the box office, which did determine the overall success of a film. But the debate of The Matrix 4's success is for several reasons. The film has not yet been released in major markets, such as China. It was also released simultaneously on HBO Max. The Matrix Resurrections did fare better than Dune on the service, and Dune has a confirmed sequel. At the moment, we know that The Matrix 4 has earned about $100 million at the box office, but it still cannot be determined if it was a success or a flop, no matter how many outlets or YouTubers wish for it to be the latter. But there is something that many people are ignoring, or rather choose to not say, to continue the rhetoric that only the money that a film makes matters. Jason Kylar and Ed Sarnoff talked to Deadline last October about the low box office results of their movies. Quote, in regards to proceeding with sequels to this year's theatrical HBO Max
inventory,
the CEO, Jason Kylar, says those decisions are well informed and
Sagittarius Val Superior Hunter Val Press Cross Equip Hold Square Upgrade Press Triangle Ruse Punish Val Flawless Hunter Val Press Cross
End quote. So is it about the money from the theaters, or has the business model changed at Warner? After the pandemic, some companies are more focused now on developing their digital platforms. This is the reason why those companies are not focused entirely on the box office. Having franchises like Dune, Suicide Squad, The Matrix, etc. gives Warner these big pillars to attract subscribers to their digital platform. We cannot measure the success or failure of film productions like before. We must see the business model that Warner is using. Now, some people have claimed that since The Matrix Resurrections numbers were not what they expected, a producer has confirmed that there will be no more sequels. This is a lie or a misinformation.
That interview was with James McTeague on Collider. That happened on December 26th, 4 days after the premiere of Matrix 4. Let's see what exactly Mr. McTeague said, if he indeed said there are no more Matrix productions. And I quote, "Mind, we've got no sequel in mind. We got no further trilogy." This echoes Lana's statement at the premiere, which she was asked if she had a new trilogy planned. Oh, so is this the news that the Matrix will not return? Not necessarily. There is a problem with what McTeague said. His statement was shortened. This was only part of his response, and social media is taking it out of context to say that Warner has confirmed that the Matrix will not return. Quoting the full statement, "With the ending of this, obviously thinks that you can leave it alone, and that this is the end of the Matrix. Or, of course, the story can continue. Has Lana said anything, or have you talked about the fact that it could go on, or do you think that this is the one and done?" McTeague said, "Look, for us, I think at the moment, it's just the movie. We've got no prequel in mind. We've got no sequel in mind. We got no further trilogy. But I think the film also works where it's really open to one. Like what happened in those 60 years before they fished in Neo out again? The opportunity are there at the end. They are talking with the analyst. What do they actually think that they're going to change? So I think that it's out there, but it's not in our wheelhouse at the moment." End quote. This statement is quite different from the quote-unquote confirmation that no more Matrix movies will be made. All that was mentioned was that they didn't have a sequel or prequel in mind at the moment, but the door is open. To say that McTeague said that there are no more Matrix films because the box office result of the fourth movie was disappointing is objectively false. Now that we have cleared these quote-unquote misunderstandings regarding the future of the Matrix, what do we have on the table for the future of the franchise? Firstly, we have to wait and see how the Matrix 4 fares in the Chinese markets, and then wait for the total gross after its run in theaters. Although Warner has already stated that this is not an important factor, we know that if the numbers are not good, it can affect future productions. We are not blind to that possibility. We are only being cautious with the information we receive. Low ticket sales do not mean that the franchise will die, but they do influence the decision to approve new projects. Right now there are 2 other Matrix projects at some level of development. The first project is from Zach Penn. He clarified on Twitter what his script was, since it was rumored to be a Morpheus origin story. Penn, who worked on the recent film Free Guy, said, quote, "People keep asking, so let me clarify that there are 2 different Matrix projects at WB. I wrote one set earlier in the timeline of the Matrix universe. Lana Wachowski is directing a sequel that I did not work on, but can't wait to see. Neither of them are reboots." End quote. His first tweet about his Matrix project was back in 2017. He wrote, "The Matrix. Yes, I'm writing something. Not a reboot, not a continuation. Watch the Animatrix. Read the comics and see what Wachowski said." Penn has worked on this project for years now. At the moment, there is no more information about it, if it is still in production, or if it was cancelled. The second Matrix project that is in early production is Animatrix 2.0. On its official IMDb page, there is a brief description of the synopsis of this continuation of the classic animated anthology. O for Origin involves the future history revealed within the second Renaissance Animatrix, and the history program The Matrix. In the cast and crew list, there is John Guetta as executive producer, the special effects creator of the Matrix trilogy, the person in charge of bullet time. Jordan Goldberg was one of the writers. Goldberg has worked on Inception and Westworld. Other information states that the story or stories were created by Lana Wachowski. John Guetta's Wikipedia profile says, quote, "John Guetta created a development hub focused on incubing the 21st century approach to the Matrix with an emerging new media formats. With Lana Wachowski, a story premise of Matrix 2.0 was born based upon the origin of the Matrix." End quote. Possibly Animatrix 2.0 will have the blessing and supervision of Lana Wachowski, but it is still in the hands of Guetta and Goldberg, just like how others created content for the Animatrix and the comic books. So does this mean that it is confirmed that there is a new live-action Matrix movie and animated movie coming soon? Well, at the moment, both projects are on the table, but neither has begun production. It will all depend on how Warner interprets the Matrix Resurrection success based on their new business model. Though Animatrix Origin is almost confirmed to have been greenlit based on its pre-production information. Zach Penn script could become an HBO series.
Hold options to show nearby
Also
quest.
series similar to Netflix's Black Mirror or Love, Death, and Robots. If The Matrix Resurrections is a disappointment, as many people are predicting, the future of the franchise
Hold options to show nearby quest.
the reason why Netflix gets the green light on so many shows that flop and end up costing the platform a lot of money
Hold
is that
options to
it's a
show
business
nearby
model
quest.
based on the amount of content. The more shows they have, the higher the chances are to get subscribers. It's quantity over quality. Not that we are saying that Matrix 4 was of bad quality. Check out our review if you want to know what we thought about the movie. This model is not dependent on the success of a single movie or series. It's also being used by Disney Plus and HBO Max.
Hold options
So
to
many
show
want
nearby
to think
quest.
that The Matrix is finished just because the fourth movie didn't make a certain amount of money in theaters is not seeing the entire picture.
Hold
What
options to
matters
show
now
nearby
is the
quest.
potential content that could come to HBO Max. We hope that this video has clarified many of your
Hold
doubts.
options to
We're
show
carried
nearby
away by
quest.
those who just want this franchise to fail. But do you agree?
Hold
What
options to
should
show
the
nearby
next
quest.
project
Show
be?
me.
Another sequel, a Morpheus origin story, or the next Animatrix? For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.
Stream live TV from 85 plus channels. Save up to $500 a year. YouTube TV. Try it free.
Relationship-based care is really one of the main focuses of Valhalla family dentistry. And so we believe it starts with the relationship. So we're not looking to be a provider where we see the patient one or two times and never see them again. So our goal is to provide exceptional dentistry, create a phenomenal experience for all of our patients. And in doing that, we've got to get to know them.
So at Bella Family Dentistry, we are passionate about relationship-based dentistry. Our purpose is uncovering smiles through service and love, and that is everything that we train and empower our teams to do for our patients. Bella Family Dentistry is dentistry as a should, warming every patient experience while being committed to clinical excellence. We offer all general, cosmetic, and dental implant services. Dentistry is very overwhelming. There's a lot of anxiety associated with dentistry. So with having a relationship-based approach, it really helps when you connect with a person and just kind of humanize that process to get them where they want to go.
Hold options to show nearby quest.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of the Book of Boba Fett Episode 2. From train tripping to lizard tripping, this entire episode was a glorious mission that I am going to break down shot by shot for all the Easter eggs and visual details that you might have missed. And thank you to Baksu for sponsoring this video. More on them later. We opened gliding up the cracked path, leading the tunnels to Jabba the Hutt. The same path 3PO and R2 walked up early on in Return of the Jedi, but now Finn escorts that captured assassin. Creek open, as we saw when Luke passed under shapes that make it look like you're entering into the giant gaping maw of a beast. Now, this assassin is played by Paul Darnell, a longtime stunt performer who actually doubled for Timothy Olyphant in Mandalorian. Meanwhile, the Gamorreans are played by Colin Hines, longtime stunt actor and stunt driver, and Frank Spring, veteran MMA fighter. The assassin swears at Boba and Huttese. Chuta is a general insult, roughly for piss off or F you, which are also standard greetings in New York. We actually first heard this from a protocol droid in Greenfield in Cloud City Empire. But we also heard a version of this in the first episode of The Mandalorian. Some fans thought that they were changing the meaning of this profanity to a general aggressive reading, but US looks at that guy did say,
Total options to show
and now
nearby
you can
quest.
hear this assassin really accentuate the game. So, Matt Berry voicing Jabba's torture droid, he returns. Here's the big order of the Night Wind. The Night Wind is a previously unheard of in Star Wars, but there was a pirate freighter named the Night Wind in the 1914. The medic says,
Total options to show nearby quest.
Yes, it is a Rancor and prefer being on that throne where Fennec gets that switch, and 4 more Rancor carvings are in the base of the throne and the rolls forward for a better view into Jabba. Remember, Jabba had a different button on his armrest that he pushed, so these new armrests must have been installed by Fennec. The assassin falls through the same trapdoor that Luke does, rolling down into the dungeon, and I love how the moment she said Rancor, those Gamorreans cleared the hell out of the way. Now, on the other side of the Rancor pit, you can see that gate with the inner doorway within that red and green lit panel, just as Luke left it from the Jedi. But there's no Rancor here, since of course he killed the Rancor with a heavier gate crashing down on its head. No backup Rancor, despite Fennec mentioning of the menagerie, and despite Moochie being recovered by Good Fortune Tuna and Bad Batch. All we get is a little rodent, just like the ones 3PO saw in Jabba's dungeon. So as Boba leads the assassin back into town and faces the mayor, they're glared at by a number of Trandoshans. Despite that Trandoshan leader's tribute last episode, clearly his family did not expect Boba to survive the day. Then after being given some nonverbal cues by the clerk, and by the Swayze returning as the Sway-like Majordomo, they meet the Mos Espa mayor, Monteshais, and a Dorian race, voiced by series director Robert Rodriguez. Remember night. As he talks through his neck orifices, those sounds are received by a mouthpiece that translates through the apparatus that brings them up head. It's called the puppeteering here. We actually first saw an Dorian in the Cantina in the 1957 Star Wars, and here it looks like the designers give Monteshais more wrinkles, fuzzy whiskers, with your eyes, all give him a more ancient look. Monteshais and his guards all wear a matching golden medallion with the signet. Does bear a bit of resemblance to the signet of the Hutt clan. It's not exact, it's upside down, and it's also a bit like the tattoo on the male Hutt's chin. Either way, this mayor is still more loyal to the Hutts than to this assumed interim boss, and he advises, "Bring the family or company found here." Ah yes, the theme of this series, and Boba's hidden weapon, because everyone assumes Boba still needs to learn this lesson, but in reality, as we see in the flashback, he knows way more about family than all these fucking Hutts who were born into their dynasty too. Back in the Victory Cantina, the RX series droid deals with cards. It's the same kind of droid as RX-24 from Star Tours and Rex from Oga's Cantina. But sitting around this table are a Chandra fan, and then this dipshit who looks like his father used a Sharpie to draw some Darth Maul tattoos on his face. Boba chats with Darth's whip. Now you'll sweat it with I guess this is a Star Wars equivalent of the, forgive me, but the sweat like a whore in church. Yokta, as far as I know, is not a word we've heard in Star Wars, but yes, volcanic planet where Obi-Wan taught Anakin and where Vader built his castle. They can swim grounds, but they sit in church. Garza says that the church on its turf, despite Boba's assumption that they were partying up on Hutta, referring to Nal Hutta, the Hutt's Grigo's been cut out as the drums of the Hutt's litter approach. And outside Hutt's twins are carried in on their litter, their immense weight sagging the platform in the middle. I love how the poor carriers just look like they're struggling more and more throughout the scene. Now, if these Hutts have an aquarium snack bowl, like Jabba would often have, that male Hutt has a cage off to the side containing a rodent that he later uses to mop up his sweat. Based on that rodent's antenna, it looks like the same kind of rodent that was swallowed up by the wart outside of Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi. Nearby, the doctors include some Jawas in a mess and a bikini shop. Hot. The Hutts unveil this massive Wookiee in gladiator armor. This is Black Chrysanthemum, a bounty hunter from the 2015 Darth Vader comics and the 2016 Dr. Aphra stories. He once worked for Jabba alongside Boba Fett when they both took gigs from Darth Vader. Have a shared history. Later on, he worked for the scoundrel archaeologist Dr. Aphra, a badass Indiana Jones-like figure of the Star Wars universe who may now show up in live action. Chrysanthemum's backstory was that he was a Kashyyyk outcast who ended up with the slavers the Zanti brothers who injected metal into his knuckles to make him a fiercer gladiator. And then during his time with Jabba the Hutt, around the year 10 BY, this is the year before the Obi-Wan Kenobi series will be set, Chrysanthemum took Owen Lars hostage on Tatooine and ended up getting scarred in a battle with Ben Kenobi, events that we may now see on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series later this year. To be you look closely, you can see the slightly pinkish region above the right eye where Obi-Wan's lightsaber burned him, and in addition to the metal in his knuckles, Chrysanthemum wears some spiked brass knuckles over his fingers. Boba Fett
Inventory.
stops. You can bring as many gladiators as these are not the templates of God. I am not a friend of God. Yes, Durr is another new bit of Star Wars lore, apparently some planet that's hosting gladiator combat, and Boba is recalling some memory from Chrysanthemum's past where he just got lucky with a Trandoshan, an insult to this great gladiator. Boba's also insulting all the nearby Trandoshans that he just passed. They're definitely within earshot. After they leave, Finnick says,
They're huts. We would have to get permission.
permission from whom? These fools cast the huts as untouchable crime bosses like captains in La Cosa Nostra. This mysterious boss of bosses may be Kira, who was Maul's number 2 after Dryden Boss's death in Solo: A Star Wars Story within that Crimson Dawn crime organization, which during Clone Wars Maul created out of the Shadow Collective, which included the Hutts along with the Pike Syndicate we see in this episode, in episodes like the Black Sun and the Death Watch, which later became the same Watch clan that Jaren was part of. Now, Maul, of course, died in his rematch with Kenobi shortly before the A New Hope events, so Kira would now be the head of the Crimson Dawn. Amelia Earhart, another military secret invasions, which are any part of the family should totally show up in a Star Wars series too. Another flashback that shows Boba's time with the Tuskens. Now he's got an intermediary stick, working his way up that hierarchy. They dig up one of those creatures I brought up before, a wart that Toad-like beast that we saw in Return of the Jedi, and then we hear this roar from the horizon. Now this is the strain of the Pike Syndicate, but this roar sounds a lot like the sound effect that they used for the Great Dragon. So I'm wondering if the might blare this sound as a siren to scare off the Tuskens the same way Ben Kenobi used the sound of a Great Dragon to scare people away from Luke. But either way, it's interesting how the Tuskens fear this Pike train the same way the people of Mos Eisley fear the Great Dragon. And this relationship between the Pikes and the Tuskens mirrored directly in the history of the American West, when the expansion of the Transcontinental Railroad was devastating both to the indigenous tribes and the American bison, which travelers would just fire at from the trains for sport and leave the carcasses to rot. Like, until now, Star Wars stories have always cast Tuskens as Tusken Raiders and Sand People, the other. But this series follows The Mandalorian Chapter 9 by casting the Tuskens as sympathetic people with their own culture, their own humanity. And you see this with this Pike train. Where were they firing the first shot unprovoked and only abandoned them? Afterwards, the Tuskens burned their dead on the funeral pyre. Jedi funeral pyres were this episode actually parallels Tusken's spirituality with Jedi mysticism. Boba tracks down those Nikto Raiders that we saw in episode 1 when they attacked the moisture farm to this Koshi station. This is the same location as we saw in the deleted sequence from the 1977 Star Wars with Luke and Uncle Biggs. The interior was totally recreated perfectly with even that same electronic game that they play in that scene. And inside is Cammy Marstrap and Lay's Fixer Lonoser. These are Luke's friends from that scene. Remember Cammy? She called him Wormy. I love how they even kept the late 70s hairstyles. This is amazing. You know, I've been breaking down these kind of things for years now. Keep me going. I like to have some snacks within reach. Problem is, I've just kind of gotten tired of the same old snacks. I've been curious about mixing up some snacking with some new flavors. And if you're like me, you should give Baksu a try. Thanks to Baksu for sponsoring this video. Baksu is a monthly service that delivers premium Japanese snacks and tea pairings straight from Japan to your door. Each themed monthly Baksu box takes you on a gourmet journey through Japan. Baksu is the only company that partners with 100-year-old family snack makers for genuine and authentic selections. The first Baksu you will receive is called Seasons of Japan. It comes loaded with snacks here in this booklet that walks you through it all. Not to brag, but I have actually been to Japan and I had an incredible trip visiting my brother, and some of these snacks are just really taking me back. Yay! This is the Aomori Apple Caramel Cookie. It's made in the apple growing region of Japan. It has a soft and chewy texture that the Japanese call yakoi. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, but I'm not enjoying this video. You don't get these kind of flavors from snacks in the US. The Baksu box just makes for a really cool gift for that anime fan or travel lover in your life. Click the link in the description and use our code ROCKSTARS to get 10% off your subscription. Now notice how on the back of these Nikto's vests is Arabesh translating towards Tatooine. They got a crest that looks like a skeleton with long arms reaching down to the sides, clutching some bounty. It just comes off like a pirate flag, which these guys pretty much are. And you'll notice the back of that crest is formed by the mirrored L shape that they mark on the moisture farm. It also marks on their speeder bikes, along with that same skeleton crest. It's kind of like the way biker gangs like the Hells Angels wear clothes marked with what part of the country they're from. So I'm guessing these guys are just the tattooing division of whatever this bigger ego is. And one of the videos that Boba hit has more ore mesh at the bottom of his back, translated to Emmett. Oh, they're like jerseys. Also a reminder of Emmett Brown, who gets another interesting sort of homage later in this episode. Now, as Boba tows those speeder bikes back to the Tuskens, one of those bikes has Tatooine written Orbesh again on the side. Look, I'm doing my best to translate all the Orbesh in this episode because that hollow tablet was just too out of focus to read, and if it don't count, I can't translate it. Use my mission to translate it. I'm sorry. I love this. The Tuskens dismantle the bikes. Whoa, stop. I love that final delay toss by the Tusken in the back. Hold in my hand. I don't want to hold it anymore. Onto the amazing train attack, which feels so intense because in the opening throws, so many Tuskens go down. You can see how this weighs on Boba in this awesome over-the-shoulder reaction, which makes him vulnerable to the shot that damages his engine. So now Boba has to totally shift his objective. He pulls the brakes to grab that falling Tusken and then sweeps both of them from the grappling rope right as the bike explodes. This is just great action filmmaking here. And right as these Tuskens are caught in the crossfire, the female warrior notices that Boba's car is now being swarmed without his knowledge by more bikes coming in from behind. So what does she do? She rams her bike into that car behind in order to hold the swarm. But then this alerts that super anxious conductor droid who directs fuel from the core and the orbit right at the top to the boost that's the orbit right below, like it's freaking Doc Brown throwing the yellow fuel log on. This droid is nuts. It even has one eye pointing down like a psycho, and it just uses all four of its hands to crank up the speed. Now, while the amazing Steph Green directed this episode, the DP was veteran cinematographer Dean Lilly, who shot the Back to the Future train finale and all three Back to the Future films, actually shot in a lot of movies he loved. So this whole train sequence plus the Emmett shout out, I feel like that's intentional enough. Without we get a terrifying sense of scale for this increased speed. When that female warrior boards the car, it smacks out a pipe. Yeah, great Indiana Jones style whip crack punch sound effect there. And immediately when that pipe hits the ground, it sends that train. So to stop the train, Boba has to use his gravity stick to pry the lever back, using the traditional Tusken tool to overpower the far more advanced tech. And we should say this whole train sequence definitely feels like an homage to Lawrence of Arabia, a major influence on George Lucas's generation of filmmakers, and also memorably included a train attack that was a stranger in a strange land and respect for the local tribes. Afterwards, Boba addresses the pikes who try to play dumb about spice. Spice. Satisfies. Yes, the Pike Syndicate runs the spice mines on Kessel. We actually saw this in Solo when that Pike was still very fast. This is the first time I think that we have seen a Pike unmasked in live action. In the animated series, we saw them put on their masks, and now you can see how beneath these head pieces, their features are actually pretty aquatic. Similar in nature, at least to Mon Calamari and Quarrens, which would explain their fear of dehydration in the desert and their need to wear masks to protect them from this atmosphere, and why they had a whole car full of water. But then Spice jumps out of the crate and it glitters in the air. And of course, Spice is a term for drugs, which was one of the many world details that George Lucas pulled directly from Frank Herbert's Dune. Parallels that now seem super obvious since Denny Villeneuve's Dune depicts this hallucinogenic spice melange in a very similar way. So Boba makes the Pikes walk to Anchorhead, telling them to walk in a single file, as Tuskens always do. God, that numbers. The Tusken chieftain later explains, according to the Ultimate Star Wars book, Tatooine was once covered by vast oceans and lush rainforests, but in current canon, it was dried out through some unknown means. Though in earlier Legends literature, this was a result of the Rakutans bombed the hell out of the planet. It's still yet to be known what caused it in main Star Wars canon, but it does seem like whatever happened, the Tuskens and the Jawas withstood this climate change. Just a fascinating bit of history that defines these tribes as true post-apocalyptic survivors. And then the chieftain's got a lizard that crawls up Boba's nose. I love the echo on the chieftain's final word as Boba spirals and has a bad trip, or the best ever trip, because he walks across the Dune Sea, which crashes up and ocean waves. His body is superimposed with his armor both on and off, and storm clouds thunder behind him. Just some brilliant elemental contrast here. The dune sea of dry sand, his new home, ebbing into the oceans of Camino, his birthplace. Then he finds this pair of trees on the dune ahead, or is it water? We never see vegetation on the planet of Tatooine, but this elusive gaffy tree must exist somewhere for him to have gotten his branch, and only the lizard knows where. Trees are hugely significant to Force mysticism. Jedi trees were considered beacons of Force sensitivity, carefully cultivated underneath Jedi temples. A tree was actually used to shelter a temple on Nachto when he lived there. This lizard could actually be considered an animalistic equivalent to Morai, the owl guide for Ahsoka Tano. Of course, Tuskens are not Jedi. They don't at all subscribe to those dogmatic religious beliefs, but the Force is real. It's an energy that surrounds and binds all living things, including the Tuskens. So the lizard and these trees could just be their mystical interpretation of the same thing. And this natural imagery also evokes Luke's deconstructed description of the Force in The Last Jedi.
All tension, balance, body, bring together what you see.
Right. Not necessarily okay. It seems to be not warm. Oh, please. Violent.
And notice how in the branches of this tree we see a number of pairs of red eyes. In the concept art that rolls during credits, these were meant to be Jawas. Jawas, alongside Tuskens, are the only native sentient beings to this planet, and this tree may represent historic peace between these two tribes, perhaps the original tribes of Tatooine of this episode's title, one tall tree. One small tree representing the tall Tuskens and the short tree Jawas. Then, as the branches wrapped around him, they cross-dissolve into the innards of the Sarlacc, which Boba was not unarmored as he crawled out of last episode. So this reframes that slimy emergence as a metaphorical birth for his character. It's gross to think about, but it is the most natural thing in the world, folks. And throughout this process, we get some awesome superimpositions. The shot of Boba holding Jango's helmet, newly shot for the series, dissolves into Boba's adult face in that helmet. Boba, as a child, witnesses his father departing Camino, leaving him behind, and in that ship reflection on the window appears on his cheek in the shape of a teardrop, and then his child hand reaching out to his father, dissolving into the adult hand, reaching up out of the sand. And then at this point, Boba snaps the branch, which cuts into an explosion of flames, metaphorically snapping the umbilical cord, reaching him to his incubated state of his biological lineage. Jango is no longer just a Jango clone, he has his own identity, achieved the Tuskens. And so they finally reclothe Boba from his undergarments to more traditional Tusken robes, with some awesome music. Ludwig Göransson composed the music to the show, but all this music was actually composed by his colleague Joseph Shirley, who mixes these deep vocal chanting to view this moment with sacred reverence. The shots of him getting robed here also mirror his getting armored up in episode 1. For him, now, his that armor is really his Tusken identity. They guide him to carve his brand into a true ornate gaffy stick. When I talk about this process, the lizard is no longer in his brain, whereas the location in the retrieval of the branch was his subconscious brain. His unconditioned must be conscious, done by his about it. Another Jedi parallel. As a rite of passage, Jedi must construct their own lightsabers using tighter crystals that they retrieve from the natural world. And this whole armory set was inspired directly from original art by Ralph McQuarrie in 1977, depicting his designs for the Sand People of Tatooine. I love how they brought back in that curved scrap hole. So cool. And still, this whole process is not complete until he returns to the campfire to obtain the approval of the chieftain and join the others in the ceremony. Because it's not about the lone warrior on a solo introspective journey. It's about coming back from that journey to become a member of the tribe. I love this episode so much. I can't wait to keep breaking down this series with you. So if you support New Rockstars by checking out our merch option at NewRockstarsMerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EABoss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching.
To provide a frictionless employee experience to really help our employees obtain the quality healthcare they need and they deserve. We know that, not one size fits all. We have to personalize our program. And we want to go ahead and help keep the employees where they are. We know that personalization helps us serve our employees at every stage of their lives and increase the likelihood of employees receiving the benefit we offer.
It's not easy to squish a spider, especially if that spider happens to be the amazing Spider-Man. Still, Spider-Man has had many close calls in his years. Some so close and not even well-versed fans can fathom just how he survived. Join me as we count down the top 10 most ridiculous things Spider-Man has survived. Number 10, unmasking. During the events of Civil War, Spider-Man ultimately decided to side with Iron Man, and to prove how loyal he was to the cause, he even decided to publicly unmask, to show just how much he believed in his friend Tony Stark and the idea of the Superhuman Registration Act. However, this turned out to be the wrong choice for Peter in the end. Not only was his life at risk as a result of his choice, and as a result of ultimately changing his mind, but also the lives of those he loved were threatened as well. Peter Parker almost ended up being shot to death at the behest of Kingpin, who put a hit out on him, and as a result of surviving that, being nearly missed, Aunt May instead ended up taking a bullet and almost lost her life, being put into intensive care. Peter Parker would also end up losing his marriage after he and Mary Jane made a deal with Mephisto in order to save Aunt May's life. So really, it's pretty impressive that Peter managed to survive this whole overall fairly awful ordeal, both when it comes to keeping his life and keeping his sanity. Number 9, witnessing Aunt May's romance. During a time where Peter swapped bodies with Dr. Octopus, he found himself trapped in his body and in Dr. Ock's mind. Because of this, Peter ended up forced to watch a memory that Otto had of a night of passion with Peter's own Aunt May before their almost wedding at the time. Sure, Peter had survived a lot of physical beatings and extremely devastating disasters, but the emotional trauma of this one, I do not know how he did it. Peter obviously did not want to see this, and yet he was forced to. And still afterward, he manages to be able to look both Otto and Aunt May in the eye when he is I do not know how though. Peter survived this, by the way, but also survived witnessing all the beatings from Otto's perspective that he, as Spider-Man, had given him via Otto's memories. That is some mental and emotional durability right there. Although I guess this version of Peter kind of died, as he only managed to survive via his subconscious after this. Here's hoping he managed to forget this, at least, somehow. Maybe because only his subconscious kind of survived, his consciousness of this is like, oh, gone. I hope so. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to learn about some more crazy things that Spider-Man has survived, there's lots of them, be sure to let us know what you Number 8, electrocuted and thrown from a skyscraper. During the events of Marvel Knight Spider-Man, as early as the 3rd issue in, Spider-Man gets badly beaten and ends up in such a bad way that he's rushed to the ER. This all happens after Aunt May has seemingly been kidnapped. In this much darker take on Spider-Man's world, as written by Mark Miller, Spider-Man confronts Electro and the Vulture, suspecting they may have been involved. During this fight, Spider-Man gets badly electrocuted more than once by Electro. In fact, at one point, he is so severely and dramatically electrocuted that he ends up being flinged from a skyscraper and plummets to the ground, before he can recover enough to even shoot a web and swing to safety. Instead, he smashes all the way down and through a cab, knocked unconscious and badly injured. The paramedics then rush him to the hospital. That is how severely Electro injured him. Of course, this is Spider-Man, and somehow, miraculously, he manages to survive. But, whew, it was definitely a close call. Number 7, Sinister War. Sinister War also really scrambled Spider-Man up. I mean, what's worse than one team of 6 sinister villains? How about a whole bunch of sinister villains?
which is exactly the trial that Peter faced during Sinister War. Pretty much all of the villains he came up against seemed to also want Spider-Man for one reason or another. And while some fought to actually protect Spidey, many more were fighting to harm, capture, or perhaps even kill him. Needless to say, it was one long night for Spider-Man, with him dealing with fight after fight to the point that he couldn't even catch his breath. Number 6. Missile Explosion. During issues 523 and 524 of The Amazing Spider-Man, we learned that Spider-Man managed to survive the explosion of a massive missile that was filled with toxins. Not only did we see Peter survive the explosion, but he also survived the fallout after being saved by Iron Man. Stark secured Peter and put him back in the Avengers Mansion as quickly as possible so that he could treat him for the toxins he had been exposed to and his injuries. Fortunately, Peter is so durable, with such a tough immune system apparently, that he was able to fight off most of the effects until Stark managed to free him. And in so doing, Stark saved his life. Pretty convenient. He also happened to arrive at just the right time, as Peter was also about to fall at terminal velocity into the ocean, the impact of which could have killed him. Quite lucky that he's so tough, and that Iron Man arrived in the nick of time. It all worked out pretty well. Number 5, The Wrath of the SRA. Spider-Man not only impressively survived unmasking for his pal Tony Stark during the events of Civil War, but he also managed to survive Brave Tony as well. Spider-Man got a good look at the camp Stark side of the war were running. He realized that he had made the wrong choice, and attempted to walk out. Iron Man, however, isn't ready to let Peter go, and attempts to stop him. He tries to tell S.H.I.E.L.D. to just bring Spider-Man in quietly, as all Tony wants to do is talk to him. He doesn't want to fight, but S.H.I.E.L.D., under the Superhuman Registration Act, denies Stark's request, and attempts to have Spider-Man apprehended and arrested, sending the top secret Thunderbolt team that they have amassed after Spider-Man. They send Jack-O-Lantern and Jester the Third, and if it weren't for the interference of Punisher, he may have ended up dead at their hands. Well, S.H.I.E.L.D. but still, almost killed Spider-Man at that point, putting him in critical condition by the time Punisher showed up to save him. You can see the fight and the shape that Peter is in by the end of it in issue number 5 of the first Civil War series. Number 4, Beat Down by Moreland. During the story The Other, Peter seemed to be suffering from and ultimately dying of a mysterious illness. While struggling with this, Moreland decided to pay Spider-Man a visit just to basically torment him. Focused on his potential impending death, Spider-Man is caught unawares when Moreland attacks him while he's swinging around the city, attempting to clear his mind. The two have an insanely explosive fight, but just as Peter thinks he has the upper hand, Moreland brutally defeats him. He plucks at Spider-Man's eye and eats it, and then beats him to within an inch of his life. Spider-Man manages to survive this attack despite him losing an eye and being beaten to a pulp by Moreland. Number 3, Killed by Kraven. In reality, Kraven never really killed Peter, although we were meant to believe that he had killed Spider-Man. I mean, it definitely looked like he killed Spider-Man. Kraven at one point sets out in Kraven's last hunt to beat Spider-Man by replacing him and proving that he is better than Spider-Man is. However, in the end, he begins to question if he's truly beaten Spider-Man. And, who actually makes a better Spider-Man? Realizes that there is no one quite like Peter Parker when it comes to being Spider-Man, just as Spider-Man himself seemingly returns from the dead. In truth, Kraven had merely administered a drug that had made Peter seem dead, probably slowing his heart rate, definitely making him trip out, and putting him in a stasis for a few weeks. Spider-Man, however, was buried alive by Kraven and wakes up in his grave. Pretty sure he was also shot point blank by Kraven, but anyways. Spider-Man then has to dig his way out and find his way back to the villain for that final confrontation. The story ends with Kraven taking his own life, believing he had finally accomplished everything in his life that he set out to do. Don't worry, Kraven would come back, because Kraven. Number 2, Body Failure. Another time that Peter Parker died, it was actually as Dr. Otto Octavius. During the time of Superior Spider-Man, Otto got a hold of Peter's body by tricking him into a body swap. With Peter's consciousness stuck in Otto's old failing body, when it died, so seemingly did Spider-Man. I mean, we still have Peter's body, but for now, Otto was the one behind the steering wheel. Fortunately, while Peter did kind of die, he also managed to survive, as Otto was unable to wipe Peter's complete consciousness clean from his own body, and the subconscious kind of
lingered there. In the end, Otto gave up his own hold over Spider-Man's body in order to let Peter Parker reclaim his body and his mantle once more. Otto was compelled to do this when he realized that even with all that he had done, he could never truly be a better Spider-Man than Peter because he was kind of missing his moral compass, which was part of what truly made Peter Parker also it's like, I'm trying to save the woman I love, and it's like impossible. Please, I need the real Spider-Man help. Number 1, annihilation of his universe. Miles Morales didn't just survive the death or a bad beatdown, but actually managed to survive the destruction of his entire universe. Following the events of Secret Wars and the creation and dissolution of Emperor Doom's battle world, Miles Morales somehow managed to survive after his entire reality of Earth 1610 was pretty much completely destroyed. How? Well, Miles Morales as Spider-Man managed to earn a new life for his family and himself on the reinstated reality of Earth 616, all because of an act of kindness in combination with a weird quirk. Molecule Man had been asking for a snack, and Miles happened to have a burger in the pocket of his suit, which he gave him. As a result, Molecule Man decided to make sure when the universe was recreated using his powers, that Miles and his family had a place in it. How nice! He also gave Miles his Uncle Aaron Davis a new lease on life in the Earth 616 reality as well. Pretty sure he also brought his mom back to life too. Earth 1610 has returned since its destruction, and one of its other survivors, the Maker, even managed to return to it, but at the time, it wasn't around. So, it's pretty cool that Miles survived that. What death-defying acts were you most shocked to see Spider-Man survive? Are there any times that you truly feared that Spider-Man would suffer a permanent death? Or do you never really buy into the sense of peril that he's in? You're like, these stakes aren't real, they're just comic book stakes. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This has been Topside Nerd, and I'm your host, Ann McKnight. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.
Nope. So I gotta go through there.
Make every birthday special. Flowers at 1-800-Flowers.com.
At the time, when schizophrenia nation full blown, I got people out to get me, and off of people were against me, including my parents. I knew I needed a change. I learned about injection as a treatment option and decided to give it a try. Now, I finally gave up fighting against those who were trying to help me, and I began to my parents and allies in my fight. Help delay another episode.
What's up, Microphone? We have another power personality. I want to thank Esther and all the realize that magic powers. Job tell you are so about lots of those right. A lot of people got it wrong. This why did Kratos get the red cats? Type your answer now at the end of the video. I'll put your answer. Freya is a how why you have a whole of course, like always, God or not. First one that she has a mind touch. Your kids, your and Daniel Warren, she, her father, and her brother devastating attacks is here. Freya won this year using Divine Hex ability. She could force Aesir to fight one another by messing with their minds. This was meant to be podcast before
The Vanir used more subtle means of magic. Led by Freyr's sister, Freya, their spells threatened the gods of Asgard at every turn. She used Aether magic to confuse their warriors into attacking one another, while Freya reversed his earlier enchantments to truly blame the lands of Asgard. Their father, Njord, channeled his anger into vicious winds and whipped across the sea, causing the Aesir's to travel to last nearly twice as long.
as well as legends after God. This is a power you would most likely see in God of War Ragnarok. The ability to have two allies fight against one another sounds like something she might do to Kratos and Atreus. If you know about that, I'll link it at the end of the video. Next ability she has that we didn't actually see, but we know that she can do it, is the power of teleportation. While trying to get his hammer back, Freya is learning to do it invisible a couple of times. Once Thor got his hammer back, his boy had a final massacre. Freya wants no part of the destruction and death it was causing. She cast a spell to take herself and Thor out of the realm of the Freya is so powerful, she can actually tear people out of the realm. Cast a powerful spell, cutting the water from life and soul. She is so powerful, she can actually tear people out of realms at will, which is insane. Like I said in my story, the war of the realms is a tree. It's a strange thing. So Freya activated one realm to another realm at will. It's actually insane. So think about considering that this is true. So the fact that she can force people out of realms by casting a simple spell is insane to think about. And she also taught something similar to Odin, who cursed her by making her stay in Midgard and getting pulled out of the realm. Now, a little thing I want to note here. In the God of War novel, Kratos said to himself, the force of which Freya was getting pulled back was one of the strongest he has ever felt. And in the game, Amir noted that Freya is so much more powerful than magic. So this is actually the same Odin's magic that taught him is so strong. Kratos is the strongest he's ever felt, yet Freya is more powerful than that. Also, I want to mention that we did see a little bit of her invisibility magic when she put a rune on Kratos and Atreus' neck to hide them from the gods as well. But next up, I want to mention her roots. Freya can somehow manipulate roots, and these roots are very powerful. In Thor and Legends, 1 year after the journey, Kratos and Atreus traveled to Freya's home to talk. However, roots made look off the board. Kratos tried to chop down the vines, but the Leviathan axe actually just bounced off, which Atreus said was his power. The Leviathan axe was made to be Mjolnir's equal according to the God of War novel, so this is actually extremely good, which gives me the vibes of Amir. Those vines are from the world tree. Amir said no weapon could cut it. Freya's vines actually belong to tree's vines. Also, we can see her use these roots during the final fight while they're at the end of the game. And in that final fight, the roots actually managed to held out Kratos and Baldur for the time. We all know how strong Kratos is, so this is actually insane. Speaking of the final fight, Freya can even summon monsters. These creatures that we saw at the end are called Legion as Freya summoned them to the battle, which means that she has an army at her disposal at will, being able to take enemies from other places and transfer them to herself, using them to attack her enemies. If you get a Freya boss fight, best believe Freya uses ability to control the attacker. Now the last thing I want to talk about is her outfit. And all of the God of War sources, it really isn't really mentioned in her with the fight they have a lot of physical compassion. She was, of course, the leader of the Valkyries and had Valkyries. So she made me as strong as Sigmund, and we all know how powerful he was as a beast. Also, separated the sword and the god of Ragnarok together, so it's more than possible that she does have fighting abilities on a physical level, and maybe on par with Odin, since of course she is Valkyrie. But that is it for this breakdown. Thank you all for watching. It's going to be powerful and she is one of the antagonists of the game. The answer to the trivia question is Kratos got his tattoo to remember Deimos, and the red mark was in honor to Deimos' god. Kratos never forgot his brother. Being unable to save him was one of his biggest regrets. That's my time. I'll see you all in tomorrow. So many reasons I love working for Find Outdoors, but the main reason I really love working for Find is that the general collective of people that just work for Find Outdoors are all that all have experience and it's just really great to know that you're part of something so amazing. I get to be a steward of public lands, and I also live here, so all of the time is kind of geared towards my their dedication to public land, their ensuring future generations have an experience important. I'm a campground manager. We provide underground so that alone shows people inside what we're doing and where we live, and it makes people want to experience that more, want to share it with other people, and hopefully people can take that with them to go to other places. And recreating responsibly is a huge thing.
What drew me to work at Find Outdoors is I'm an outside person. I enjoy wildlife. I enjoy working outside. I enjoy hiking. It's a dream job.
The best part about living and working on public land is the gratification that people come out and enjoy what you're doing, and then also taking a breath away and enjoying the land yourself. As soon as we started meeting people that worked here, we knew we wanted to work here also. The amount of people that have been welcoming to us in the company and encouraging us to get out and about and explore has been more than I can say. The friendliness and welcoming of everyone involved has been outstanding. And I don't see myself going anywhere else for a long time.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, a month ago in December, when we got the most recent Disney Plus Day announcement, there were a lot of us in the industry, myself included, who warned you all it wasn't going to be in line with their usual annual announcements, that we've already gotten so much of the Phase 4 slate revealed, and there are still tons of Disney Plus series that won't come out until 2023 that were revealed all the way back in San Diego Comic-Con 2019. However, and in the weeks that followed during the Spider-Man No Way Home press junket, Kevin Feige likely promised that there are still tons of brand new announcements to come, and no one can deny that in the last 2 weeks, there have been crazy casting reports and rumors. Everybody from the villain for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, new names like Justin Timberlake, old names like Charlize Theron, who's been tied to at least one role in the MCU in the past, the Fantastic Four. We have a ton of brand new casting reports and rumors. Yes, I will weigh in, and Daryl from The Walking Dead, being Ghost Rider. You guys are still DMing me about that. I have my thoughts about what's going on there. And sadly, still no Keanu Reeves. We're breaking down all the brand new casting rumors and reports, including an official grid that has 2 very detailed character descriptions that may be linked to Blade. We're breaking it all down, but first, if you could consider hitting the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at this channel, and that's all we do. Everything from the official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers, and recaps to the industry insider scoops, anonymous 4chan plot leaks, and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That'll automatically enter you for all our giveaways, including the next PlayStation 5. If you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into the giveaway stuff again there. Also, you guys are always asking me about my collectibles and my comic collection. I'd like to announce that I teamed up with Street of the Hero. Thank you for sponsoring this video. You guys can visit slhla.com for exclusive variant comics with new drops every Tuesday and Thursday. Use code EVERYTHINGALWAYS to save 10% when you shop there. They're an awesome site. I use them for all my variants. If you're into that kind of stuff, I highly recommend. Now we're going to run down the list of all the most recent castings that have been in the last 2 weeks because there are a ton, some of which I think we can put a lot of stock in, some of which I think are nuts. We've already covered that original Fantastic Four casting report. That's been around for over a month now. I'll link that video at the end of this. Today we're going to start with the anonymous Twitter scoopster, My Time to Shine Hello, who just yesterday tweeted out actors Marvel talked to for MCU roles recently, Charlize Theron and Justin Timberlake. Now, if you're wondering quickly who My Time to Shine Hello is, they're basically the modern-day Roger Wardell. Roger Wardell was the original Twitter anonymous scoopster for the MCU back during the days of Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, who got a ton of stuff right about the film 6 months into the year before they came out. My Time to Shine Hello now has done the same with his MCU scoops, especially as they pertain to Spider-Man No Way Home. So while I normally tell you guys to take anything that doesn't come from Marvel Studios with a grain of salt, they're all rumors until officially confirmed. This has a little more reverence than, say, your anonymous 4chan plot leak. So is there any truth to it? Perhaps. Justin Timberlake, what role he could be up for without any information? There's just too many projects, announced and unannounced, to know what role he could possibly be playing. However, this is becoming more and more common, big-name musicians taking roles in the MCU, with the introduction of Harry Styles recently in The Eternals, and rumors of Megan Thee Stallion playing herself in the upcoming She-Hulk. So again, not enough information to go on here. However, Charlize Theron, this is not the first time her name has come up and tied to an MCU role. Originally, during the first iteration under Scott Derrickson of the upcoming second installment of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness film, she was tied to the role of Clea. Apparently they had met and had talks, and it didn't work out. At least that was the report. Hearing that her name's coming up again means that she may have stayed in touch with Marvel Studios, and much like Keanu Reeves admitted recently when he confirmed he still does not have an MCU role, that he has met with Kevin Feige, and they're just searching for the right one. I'd love to see Charlize Theron in the MCU. I'm very excited. However, all of these recent Instagram weekly rumor posts about her being tied to Sue Storm, again, if you guys are interested in the most recent casting report or rumor for that, I'll link that video at the end of this. I covered that last week. And the major report, the one that seems to have some merit, is the fact that Kamudi Ibushi, and I know I may have screwed up that name, I have tried so hard to figure out how it's really pronounced. If someone knows for sure and would leave the phonetics down in the comments, I would sincerely appreciate it, especially if the news is true and being reported by multiple sources that he's playing Marvel's High Evolutionary, who's rightly been speculated and rumored to be the villain in the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy 3, possibly tied to the origins of Rocket. Now, whether or not there's truth to this seems semi-confirmed by James Gunn himself, who has made a regular habit of debunking reports like this and hasn't weighed in one way or another, but that's not fair to do to him. He's including, for right now, but speaking of which, Ibushi actually has a role on that series, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy cast, James Gunn confirming that he followed over from one series to the other and referred to him as one of the best actors he's ever worked with. He's seemingly worthy of playing something like the Big Bad in the High Evolutionary, so we'll have to wait for the official as well. I'm assuming that some of these casting reports again are going to come as major announcements from Marvel Studios. They just get way too much shine, untotally intended, when they do that, and I would assume that those kind of casting announcements will come simultaneously alongside the Fantastic Four, etc. Now, for some other crazy rumors, we've got to talk about Daryl, Norman Reedus, and all of his social media posts in the last 2 weeks. I'm getting DMs still about this every day because I did not weigh in. And the reason I did not weigh in is that I could not find in all of my back channel, all of find connections and sources, any truth or validity, any even whiff of a rumor of this. Now, it doesn't seem like actors have a scripted response when asked if they're playing an MCU character. If they actually are, they say one of three things. They say they didn't get a call, that they are not aware of anything to do with that, and or they confirm confidently that they are not playing that character. We saw it with Jonathan Majors, we saw it with Tatiana Maslany. We've heard this script so many times now, it's actually become a meme. So for Norman Reedus to be sharing all of these concept arts and social media reports, seems like it would be ultra cringe if he's not actually Ghost Rider, but he could just playfully be campaigning for the role or just liking, and reposting the concept art as him as Ghost Rider. There's been a ton of it recently. It's amazing. It's hard to tell. I will say that when fans get excited about stupid stuff, especially like when they cornered the stunt double for Andrew Garfield recently, someone made a comment like, "Congrats on coming back."
Undiscovered location raid this location with your undiscovered location raid.
I really appreciate that. And then they're like, "Hey, we got you." That's ridiculous. I would never report on that. That is not a news story. That's just someone actually being a dick. But in this case, he is reposting all of this stuff. And again, it would seem a little weird for an actor who doesn't actually have that role to be sharing all those and just hoping for the best, especially someone as big as Norman Reedus, who's crossed over into video games and basically has become an icon on the back of his role in The Walking Dead. Now, the last thing I want to cover today is an official casting grid. There are a ton of access points, especially in the industry, for actors who want to try to get these roles. So they are official, but a lot of times what they'll do is leave the role ambiguous, leave out key details that you don't know who this is for. Now, yesterday, when this was put out, it wasn't tied to a specific film, but it's being reported today that this is actually tied to Blade. Now, while I've been unable to confirm this, what it's for is a feature film that's filming late this year, August 2022 through December 2022, looking for two characters. The first of which, codenamed Huntley, 40 to 60s, formidable and overly sophisticated. Most people think he takes himself too seriously. Must be extremely agile and versatile, physical performer with distinguished dramatic and comedic chops. Theater, dance, and performance art professionals welcome to submit. Strong supporter. The second one is listed as Feza, if I'm pronouncing that correct, 20 to 40s female, North African, speaks French. She's tough and an agile fighter with a strong presence and drive. A talker, doesn't back down, must be open to training period beforehand. Actors with fight experience are encouraged to submit. Supporting. Now, when you read those and without the context of being tied to Blade, that first one only read like Beast to me. Read it again and think of Beast, it really feels like it fits. However, knowing that this is now probably tied to the film Blade, both of these supporting roles to Mahershala Ali, I would be confident that that is not Beast, and would love to invite you guys to speculate somewhat on these characters. I'm going to do a little research, but I also am not confirming this is for Blade. That's just a separate rumor now and report for this casting grid. It's impossible to know what title feature film, but what people are probably doing is looking at the production schedules for the films this year. They see August 22nd. Blade is set to film on August 22nd back before, but guys, down in the comments below, let me know. Who do you think Huntley and Feza are? 40 to 60s formidable, overly sophisticated, takes himself too seriously. It has to be agile and a versatile fighter. It has to have comedic chops and be distinguished and dramatic. The second one is 20 to 40s North African, female, speaks French, agile fighter, doesn't back down. I am all ears, guys. Take to the comments. Let me know what you think. Let's get into the giveaway stuff. Alright, we're still giving away PlayStation 5s, and we're doing it much more frequently this year than ever before. In fact, every 20,000 subscribers, we just gave one away days ago. The next one's at 9:40. If you want to be entered to win or for any of the giveaways at the channel, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of the video, the same way we do here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. As always, if you liked today's video, I'd sincerely appreciate it if you hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at I'mFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to original music. All Fires. As much as I'd appreciate you checking that out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.
Press share to open the quest log and track a new quest. Start raid.
And so even though I love Arnold, the bench fly still gets the big red X. Subscribe to CavalierAthletics.com.
Come, my wolves!
In the push movement chest exercises. Once again, you recognize the right now. However, today I'm going to rank them for the worst to the best. Or you're only focusing on the ones that you're after. So by the time this video is over, you're going to want to get some of these and others that you're going to want to kind of throw away. So that being said, let's start ranking them. Alright, so as we work our way from the bottom up, the exercise are placed in these categories for a reason. There are some criteria that goes into selecting where an exercise will fall. For instance, we want to make sure that this is an exercise that can actually deliver results. Right? We don't want it to be something that is insufficient and challenging to cause growth. We also want to select exercises or favor those that are multidimensional. They are building muscle, delivering the strength. We also have some exercises that are just downright so then we have the exercises that kind of invite injury risk. And that's something we want to avoid, especially when we have better, safer options. And that's why we start at the bottom of the list right here with the bench fly. Now look, I understand that Arnold loves this exercise, but just because he loves the fly, and I love Arnold, I have to love the fly. Not because I want to dislike the exercise, but more so that my background tells me that there's reasons to dislike it. Perform it on a bench in an unsupported way with no safety net, increase the risk of damage against your cap. That is something you don't want to damage ever, because it's very hard to repair and more normal mechanics after that happens. As I mentioned, increased risk of tear that happens lifting of your arm during this exercise. Again, all of this negated most of all by the fact that there are better alternatives to this that I will cover for you later on down this list. The fact is, for all these reasons, guys, I have to put Big Red X first and foremost. Alright, so next up in the category of worst is one that might actually come as a surprise, because you know how often I like to explain I'm if at all possible, but it's the standing press. And the issue with the standing press is size more of a challenge to more than the muscles you're actually trying to build. And just getting into this position here with any type of heavy weight is going to make my abs work harder to make sure that I don't fall backwards when I'm doing movement. Even if I do this out of a split stance where I'm leaning my weight forward, it's still not optimal if I'm going to press the weight that's necessary to cause that overloaded growth that we're looking for. For all these reasons, guys, the standing team press is not the press you're looking to. So a couple big red X's on the board behind me, we're still not out of the worst category yet. Here we have the quiet, understand that just like size matters, angle matters too. A lot. So when it comes to my bench press, what angle are you setting it at? Because it really matters in terms of the exercise, especially up here in the upper chest. We know that the front delt and the upper chest fibers share not only a close proximity to each other anatomically, but they share some function too. Well, we know that if we were to get completely upright, we would shift the majority of that function to the front delt as we would in an overhead press. And if we got completely horizontal, most of the work would be done by the chest. So that means that we have to find that heavy. Once you cross over 50, 55, or 60 degrees, you start to go into that realm of less work. Not why you're doing the exercise in the first place. If you want to maximize your gains on any my bench press, we're going to choose a lower angle. We'll cover that one later. Now, if my bench press, you have to get rid of it. Time hasn't made it any better. Let's take a poke. So now those gladly behind us, I get to take out my football. Let's way up the ranking into the better category. I say better, not best, because there's still some limitations here that where we have to start right here with all our better exercises push-ups. And I say the basic push-ups because the basic push-up is oftentimes, as I pointed out in our basic criteria at the beginning of this video, is not enough. It's simply not driving enough to the size of your chest because many of them. If you're ripping off 30, 40, or 50 chest, there are variations that are going to provide a better challenge and the basic push-up is no longer engaged. Now if you're a beginner who's still getting challenged by this exercise, then by all means, continue to build your strength up with it. That being said, guys, most of us at this point now, where this is where we should be focusing our efforts. So for that reason, we got to get the better listing, but not best yet.
we know there's better variations to come. So since better's all about improvement, let's go back to those slides today, because I want to see that. I want to version of it. For that, we have to look at the floor fly. I'm a much bigger fan of this exercise because it gives us a chance to have resistant adduction, but we get a chance to do it in a safety setting, so the floor acting as a safety net, protecting that anterior shoulder, because we don't have those extremely close to the bottom. I would argue you don't get the same kind of stretch, but I don't even know if that's the real benefit of the fly anyway. Beyond that, we do get to increase the weight on a floor fly versus the weight that we can handle to ensure that safety on a fence fly, and for that, we can make more overload in a different manner, which is going to give us an opportunity for more growth. For all these better version of the fly, definitely more. Okay, wrapping up our better category here is an often overlooked exercise that I believe deserves a second look. Underhand dumbbell bench. The best thing about this exercise is that five those that don't have access to a bench can still work throughout the chest, especially better than that 60-degree inclined dumbbell bench press. EMG studies have actually shown superior activation of those chest fibers doing the underhand version rather than high incline chest. That being said, it doesn't come without its limitations. Namely the fact that you're not going to be able to load this exercise as much, and that's mostly due to the fact that there's a lack of stability at the bottom of some. You have to have enough shoulder rotation to be able to get your body in the right position, elbows at your side, your hands, elbows, and wrists in line towards the dumbbells, to be able to drive them up in that low to high dumbbell path and get that critical chest activation. Load the exercise as heavy as possible, the next one might not be the one to do, but it still deserves its better recognition, and that's why we're going to put it right here. Now we continue our way up the chart from the worst to the best chest exercises. The advance here is really indicating a better still category. It's better than what we just did, but not quite the almost best yet. But I have to start here with that variation push-up that I promised you before. This is called the twisting push-up. And the main thing we're getting here is this intentional relative adduction. All extremely important that make the push-up, and we'll take whatever repetition take the push-up and bring it kind of downward. But at the same time, increase the effectiveness of it, and that's really all that matters. No matter what count you can do of your regular push-up right now, I promise you less push-ups here, but more from it. For that reason, you give the twisting push-up the first in the better still category. And speaking of adduction, our next exercise in our even better still category is one that focuses on that adduction function of the chest better than the things you do already, including floor flies. This is table crossover. See, the thing about the table crossover is not only gives us a chance to get more adduction to get our hands slightly across midline, but it also gives us a chance to have tension and a little bit in either version of the dumbbell fly, floor or bench. That we dealt with standing cable press. I believe the cable crossover is an exercise that can load up much heavier than we typically do. But as we do, we can see we have the same stability demand and the hands placed on the floor too much in an upright position that might limit the amount of weight that we can do. If we limit the amount of weight, we limit the amount of overload, and by limiting the amount of overload, we limit the amount of growth. For that reason, guys, the cable crossover is my adduction exercise of choice, at least for now. We're talking about the better still exercises. More on that to come. Next up, the better still category is another variation of the my favorite is your mostly hypertrophy with a little bit less of a focus on strength. What it does is it provides a better strength curve and more resistance throughout the entire strength curve on a bench press. And by stepping the tables out wide, the line of resistance is the table itself. That it maintains its perpendicularity throughout a greater range of motion than, let's say, on a typical bench press. So at the top of the exercise, when I'm reaching my peak contraction of my chest, I actually still have a lot of tension here that I wouldn't have with a typical barbell or dumbbell. That being said, the difference still lies in the fact that I have to get this position to do a heavy weight. Again, when it comes to placing tension on the chest, this is one of the best. I'm going to place it here in this category for that reason. And concluding our better still category is one of those chest exercises that people sometimes don't even realize work the chest. And it's the dumbbell upper chest pullover. Now, I'm careful to add the designation of upper chest to make sure people understand that there's a way to perform this to favor the upper chest rather than the lats. We know the typical dumbbell pullover works the lats because we're driving it with our elbows in the clear position. However, the opposite of that, you bring your elbows as tight together as possible and take focus in the upper chest because we've got all the components that make great upper chest contraction. Our arms are elevated up over our head,
remembering that we don't low to high position to get those upper chest fibers activated, and we have the spleen and adduction of the elbows that's close together that really likes to jump. Throw a dumbbell in our hand, get the overload we're looking for, and that's the reason why I don't want you to overlook this exercise any longer. And so with some top contenders left on the board, we move into our almost best category, and I get to break out my green marker, and we start right here with the dip. And for me, the dip is the best version of a push-up. If you think about it, the dip is essentially a suspended push-up, especially if you angle your body forward in favor of the chest rather than staying upright in favor of your triceps. That being said, the opportunity here to promote this exercise is going to be much easier than we have in a push-up. I can strap the weight around my waist and do a weighted dip and continue to provide the press overload we need to drive both the strength and the size gains that this exercise provides. Not to mention, I can do a couple other unique things like adding a small twist, which is similar to the twisting push-up to get just that little bit of extra adduction, which will bring that rep count down and bring the effectiveness of the exercise up. For all these reasons, the dip is going to get my first in the almost best category and belongs to it. So if you haven't caught on by now, you know that I like adduction, and we want to try to get into the chest exercise to perform, and we want to see the best gains from it. And that's why I got to go back to it once again with my best option here, which is the heavy one-arm crossover. And how is this different from the crossover? Well, in a very important way. Number one, much more stability. Instead of having to move both arms at one time, let's say you have you're not going to be able to stabilize the whole one stick as well as you can in 80 one arm at a time, which is going to eliminate those balance limitations and allow your core to take a back seat to the muscle you're actually trying to build. And what I'd like to do here, as I mentioned, is go heavy. If you have the opportunity to do that, stop doing this exercise as a 30 rep burnout at the end of your chest workout. Instead, prioritize it as one of those great ways to get adduction, not just adduction, but full adduction across midline, better than any other exercise you've performed so far. This is going to be my adduction exercise, of course, formally up here at the top is my almost best. Including our almost best category, even those that are still hyperventilating after looking at the thumbnail, okay, this is breathe easy.
Give me a hand with this.
This is my bench press up here at the top. The reason though is we're putting it at that 30 to 45 degree angle, not this degree angle that we talked about before. Like I said, the angle matters. It is found at the perfect angle to engage the upper chest without overactivating the front delts. It's going to be
without staying on
whether or not your bench goes to this specific degree doesn't really matter. Just try to go on the shallower side versus steeper. Once the upper chest fibers that you're looking to really engage, it's the chest that you're trying to grow rather than your shoulders. This is my choice right here firmly at the top. And so then list ranking the best chest exercises from worst to first. There can only be one first. There can only be one first. The one that's area in the middle, the barbell or the dumbbell bench press. And I'm giving you the option. Why? Because I just want to make sure that you're doing one of them. And the reason why we put this at the top of this list is because it gives us the best opportunity to do the one thing that we know can continue to drive both strain and hypertrophy, and that is overload this movement. The barbell or the dumbbell bench is something you can easily continue to up the weight on, which is going to continue to progressively keep those gains coming. Now look, the choice between the two exercises is going to be up to you. Some may find the dumbbells are going to give you a little bit more adduction at the top, so you can put your hands towards each other. Others may find that it's a little bit easier on the shoulders to the dumbbells versus the arms. Others who are looking to just prioritize strength are likely going to choose the barbell variation because it gives you that extra 20% bump in your total. The fact is, this gets the top spot. We're looking at the best chest exercises for strength, size, and growth of your chest. Or wait, maybe not. And so since the goal of this video is to give you the best possible information I could, you're going to have to allow me to bend the rules just a little bit. See, because the best chest exercise is actually not a chest exercise at all. It's a combination of exercises from the bench press down into that heavy one-arm crossover. Realizing that you're going to get that all-important adduction, the only missing element from the barbell or dumbbell bench press to create the perfect complement and take the best exercise and make it the greatest of all time. And so with that, guys, hopefully you now know which of the chest exercises you should be doing and which of the chest exercises maybe you want to ditch. The key is understanding why we pick what we pick, because the science of the selection matters. As always, we put the science into all we do here. All of our programs available over at AppConnect.com. If you found the video helpful, make sure to leave your comments up below. Tell me what other things you want me to cover in the ranked series, and I'll do that for you in future videos. And speaking of future videos, if you haven't already done so, make sure you please subscribe, turn your notifications so you never miss one when I pull one out. All right, guys, see you soon.
Interact, the Dark Cult.
You may not think of yourself as an athlete.
Can't raise the sail here. Run up
Swing.
the sail!
Rush. Drive. Lift. And attack. So whether you're an athlete or not, joint chiropractic can help keep you running active. Joint chiropractic. Don't do pain. Do you? Visit today and get your first consultation, exam, and adjustment for just $29.
Your tricep muscle is made up of 3 different heads. First, you have the long head, the part of the tricep located on the inside of the arm. Then on the outside of your arm, you have the lateral head, which is the most
Lower the mass!
important and recognizable of the tricep. Side or front view. And finally, underneath those 2 heads, we have the medial head, which for the most part is covered up by the long lateral tricep head, but it does pop out on the arm closer to the elbow, which allows you to contribute to your tricep width. All 3 heads combined are estimated to make up anywhere from 60 to 75% of your overall arm size. So if you want to develop bigger and wider arms, it's very important that you work all 3 tricep heads exercises. Starting first with one of the most effective compound exercises that targets primarily the lateral and the medial tricep heads. Our triceps are highly involved even with the regular bench press, but for the close grip bench press, there are a couple of things that help target your tricep to a much greater degree. First, you want to lay on a flat bench under a barbell and grab it with a closer grip where your hands are about shoulder width apart. While you can go a little closer, don't take too close of a grip because if you do, you're going to sink your ribs on every grip as you bring the bar down. Before unracking the bar, make sure you plant your feet into the ground. Your shoulder blades should be pulled back together, and you should also maintain an arc in your spine. Then unrack the bar, bring it over your chest, and lower the barbell down. Unlike the regular bench press, we want to aim to bring the bar a little lower than our nipple line, right around where our sternum ends, or where your upper abs meet the lower part of your chest. On your way down, your elbows should be nice and tight to your body. Do not flare your elbows out because that'll put unwanted tension on your shoulders and on your wrists, and it'll also put you into a weak position. Stop the barbell about an inch or 2 above your chest before pressing the barbell back up to keep constant tension on your triceps throughout the entire exercise. Then repeat for reps. Since this is a compound exercise, you can lift some pretty heavy weight, which is great for muscle growth, so don't be afraid to challenge yourself and go heavy on this one. Another great compound exercise for the triceps is the dip. Dips on parallel bars will primarily work the lateral head of your tricep. They'll also hit the long head pretty effectively and the medial head as well at the top of the contraction before lockout. To begin, you would grab the 2 parallel bars, then you would hop up and lock your elbows out so that you're hovering over the parallel bars. Now from there, you can perform dips 2 different ways, one of which will target more of your chest, while the other will target more of the triceps. If we were going to target more of the chest during a dip, we would want to lean forward. However, since we're trying to target the triceps, we want to concentrate on keeping your body as vertical as possible and your chest up throughout the entire dip. With that in mind, lower yourself down until your shoulders are about parallel with your elbows or just a little lower than your elbows. Then press back up by extending your elbows until your arms are fully locked out and you're back to your original starting position. From there, just repeat for reps. When doing dips, make sure that you're not flaring your elbows out. Instead, they should be nice and tight to your sides and your wrists should be straight throughout the entire exercise. For the next one, we have an excellent isolation exercise that really helps target that long inner tricep head as well as the medial head. It's called the French curl, also known as the tricep overhead extension. And we can do this with an easy bar or we can use a dumbbell. Both can work, but today I'll be using a dumbbell. To begin, you'll first want to take a seat on a bench with a heavy dumbbell resting over one of your knees. Once you get stronger and you're lifting a heavier weight load, you'll have to use some momentum to get the dumbbell up over your head. So pop the dumbbell up with your knee and place it on top of your shoulder for you to be able to readjust your grip. From there, you want to grab the dumbbell by the circular weight at the end, with one hand stacked on top of the other, and the bar of the dumbbell resting in the webbing between your pointer fingers and your thumbs. Then press the weight above your head until both your arms are locked out to get it into the starting position. From there, you want to slowly lower the weight down behind your head while keeping your elbows nice and close together. Although a little bit of elbow flare is okay, don't flare your elbows out too far as this will decrease increase the effectiveness of the exercise. Once your hands are about parallel with your elbows or a little lower, extend your elbows and raise the dumbbell until your arms are once again locked out above your head. Then repeat the reps. Ideally, to use heavy weights, you want to perform this exercise on a bench with a low cut backrest to take your core out of the equation and shift more tension onto the triceps. Another great exercise to target that inner long head is the single arm reverse grip cable tricep extension. For this one, you'll first want to raise the pulley all the way up to the top of the cable cross and attach a D-handle. Then grab the D-handle with a supinated grip so your palm should be facing up and your knuckles should be facing down. Lift the weight up by bringing the D-handle down until your forearm is slightly higher than parallel to the floor. So your elbow joint will be at about a 60 to 70 degree angle, and that'll be your starting position. From there, while keeping your elbow tight to your rib cage, extend your arm and bring the cable down until your arm is fully locked out. While doing this, you want to remember to keep your hand in that supinated position and concentrate on driving your knuckles towards the floor. Then slowly lower the weight and bring the D-handle back up to the starting position and then repeat for reps. Next up is one of the best exercises by far for your triceps, the skull crusher. But today, we're going to be doing it with dumbbells instead of an easy bar. And we're also going to be trying to target the long head a little more. First, start by grabbing 2 dumbbells and taking a seat on a flat bench with both dumbbells on your knees. Then lay back and press both dumbbells up until your arms are locked out straight above your chest. From there, you want to bring your arms back a bit towards your head to help you concentrate more on that long head of the tricep. Then bend your elbows and lower the weights down until the dumbbells pass around your ears. Then simply extend your arms until the dumbbells are back to their original starting position.
That shit sound like a lot you talking about.
Make sure you don't make the mistake of flaring your elbows out and that you're also not swinging on each rep. Specifically with skull crushers, when bringing the weight down behind your head, it's very easy to incorporate momentum and chi by using your shoulders and lats. So make sure that your elbows stay in one position and that you're not swinging back and forth. Pretty much only your forearm should be moving once you get into position. Now, out of all the exercises that I've already talked about today, it's a good idea to try to start your tricep workouts with either skull crushers, close grip bench press, or dips. So you can really cook yourself and go heavy for at least one of these high reward tricep exercises. Let's move on to a very common but effective exercise with the lateral head on the outside of the tricep push. For this one, you want to raise the pulley all the way up to the top of the cable cross and attach either a bar or a straight bar. Then grab the bar and bring it down right around your chest while having your elbows locked close to your wrist. At the same time, you want to lean forward so that the weight is off balance as you're doing reps. I like to stand with a staggered stance, better balance. But you guys also perform this exercise in that position, simply extend your arms and bring the bar down until your arms are once again fully locked down. Then slowly lower the weight back to the original starting position and repeat the rep. Remember to avoid the common mistake of moving your elbows back and forth to the abdomen bench. You also obviously don't want to flare your elbows out. And the last thing you can do with this one, don't move over the bar and press the weight down. This is usually a sign that you're going too heavy, then the elbows move forward. Another great tricep exercise that has been around forever is the dumbbell kickback. But I want you guys to do this with a slight variation. Normally you would perform kickbacks by grabbing a dumbbell in one hand while planting your opposite hand and opposite knee on a flat bench. However, this time I want you to plant your elbow on the bench instead of your hand. What that's going to do is it's going to get your upper body a lot lower, which I found to be really helpful for increasing the amount of tension placed on my tricep throughout this exercise. So you can try this and see how you like it, but either way, the exercise is performed the same way from here. You would start with your elbow bent close to your ribs and your forearm along with the dumbbell aiming straight down towards the ground. From there, you would just extend your arm and bring the dumbbells back until your arm is fully locked down. Then lower the dumbbell back down and repeat the reps. Again, it's important to remember not to swing your elbow and the dumbbell back and forth because that'll take tension off of the tricep, push you over to the back of your shoulder, as well as incorporate too much momentum. Next, we have the cable overhead tricep rope extension. For this one, you would attach the tricep rope to a pulley that's raised all the way up on the cable cross. Then you would grab the rope and turn around. Now, one of two ways. The
first setup, your upper arm is parallel with the ground. Forward into one foot on the other. Then from there, with your elbows nice and close together, put your arm straight out in front of you. Then bring it back to the rope behind your head. Again, keep your elbows out and don't swing them back and forth while doing it. Now, the second way to perform this exercise is by going directly above the head. So now, instead of raising the foot all the way up, lower it down and stand once again with your back to the table cross and the ends of the rope between your knees. Also, make sure you're standing close to the cable. Now, your upper arm will be much more vertical, and the goal is to extend the rope straight up above your head like you did before with the overhead dumbbell tricep extension. So again, while keeping the elbows tight together, arms above the head, then lower back down. Do something useful! Finally, for the last exercise, I want to go over a bodyweight exercise where even at that's the diamond push-up. But start by getting down on your knees and placing both your fingers in what looks like the diamond shape. Then lift your legs and come up into a pushing position with your heels, your tailbone, and the back of your head in a relatively straight line. Then lower yourself down to the ground with your elbows straight on the body. Press back up to your original starting position. Then repeat the rest. To make this exercise more challenging, you can stack weights on your upper back. And as always, make your voice become big. Turn your elbows out while you lift up. Extending close to your ribs the whole time. Also make sure that you don't drop your hips down and you don't raise them up too high, as this not only limits the effectiveness of the exercise, but it also can lead to lower back pain. That about wraps it up, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you got at least a few new ideas on how to challenge and develop your triceps to help them grow bigger, wider, and stronger. I would take these 9 exercises and do a few of them on your first arm day of the week and the rest on the second. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon, and also if you're looking for a done-for-you program that'll help you develop not only your triceps but also other muscles in your body like your chest, back, shoulders, and legs. And if you want to skip all that trial and error, just visit my website where we have challenges designed to help you achieve your body transformation goals, whether that's building muscle or burning more fat. You'll get a customizable meal plan that'll change as your metabolism adapts and changes throughout the entire program. You'll also get a full workout plan with a full video exercise library, so you're never left confused, as well as a recipe book and an accountability coach for the entire process. And you'll get much, much more. To find out more, click the link below in the description, or you can visit my website directly at grabbing it.
Press share to open the Quest login track in your Quest.
It's time to switch. You need Pedro. Get more with the upgrade. Choose from the largest selection of free 5G phones. Let's go. More space, more 5G.
Close. Tactical battle card game. You are the commander, and the cards are your forces. Place them on your fight your enemies. Each player has 25 rounds at a time. Your opponent's wrong, or he runs out of time. You win the battle. There are 5 types of forces which determine their strength on the battlefield. The mightier the card, the greater the morale. Before battle, choose 5 cards in your deck which will start the battle. Next to your hero job. Each card has 4 core values: attack, defense, move, and range. Some characters have abilities such as blocking enemy attacks, striking multiple times, or even dashing away after attacking. In addition, use different types of equipment to enhance your units. Legendary swords, bows, potions. Be careful. Some come with a price. These laborious races are looking for
Eivor, I hoped I would find you here. You seem well. Your wounds have healed quickly. I heard my father talking to the others. He said you were his child now, so that makes me your brother. You are welcome to this family. Now we will grow together and feast together and scamper over the snows together. I hope that pleases you. It pleases me. What is it you are building now? 2 homes or a hill in the mountain?
This is my father, Baron. And this is Shotvid the Cruel.
Ah. Lean on me. I will lead you home.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations. And today we have extended anime episode titles, summaries, and spoilers for the Boruto anime all the way into February, the first week of February. Previously, I only had small snippets of what was going on in the anime. We have additional information, and I gotta say, there's another episode added to this list. I'm excited to see where they kind of take this. So, obviously, if you spoiled about the future of the Boruto anime, I recommend clicking off of this video. However, with that being said, let's get right into the rest of this information. So, first and foremost, we gotta start with the extra information added. All this information is courtesy of Organic Dinosaurs, so much respect and thanks to her for this. But Boruto's going back to jail. Now, I know somebody's like, wait a second. My man saved the ninja world from Ishigotsuki when he was fighting alongside Naruto and Sasuke and Kawaki. And yeah, Kawaki stomped him out, but Boruto played a role in it too. My man has to go to jail now. What's happening here? So it's not Hozuki Castle, and it's not Hozuki Castle number 2. So nobody needs to worry about Boruto being called somebody's little Jogan princess or somebody's little Karma Seal princess. No worries about that. This is more information on this miniature hidden miss arc that we have here in the anime because Boruto's returning to the land of water here. In this time, Boruto's going to be going to the prison that's in the land of water. But we also have information that fully fleshes out what's going to be happening in 32, 233, 234, and 235. So, like always, we'll go over these in chronological order. Then I'll give you guys my thoughts on each of the episodes after we look at the summary. So, episode 232's extended summary is Captain Dinky's first mission, which is going to be broadcasting on January 16th. It says that Dinky, who is taking on the role of Captain of Team 5, is assigned to a mission where he must deliver some autonomous puppets all the way to a particular ore mining island in the water country. When they arrive, their mission will further involve executing test runs and analyzing data operations from the ore mining autonomous puppets. Despite his nervousness, Dinky embarks upon the mission in collaboration with his teammates, Iwabe and Metal Lee. However, Dinky doesn't have much stamina. He's no use when it comes to doing things like physical work. The ore mining staff, who also are involved in the mission, are surprised by Dinky and wonder if he's even really a ninja. Will Dinky be able to recover his honor and reputation as a ninja? And moreover, will he be able to successfully carry out the mission as the team's captain? So I'm not super excited about that one, but what I will say is that you're likely going to see Dinky. He's going to be using some type of ninja tech or using like the ninja tech that he used with the fight with Tsubaki, and he's going to be using that as a way to kind of level the playing field. But we have more further concrete information. So I thought maybe those autonomous puppets were the puppets that the car organization had, and it looks like that's not the case. These are some specific puppets that are meant for ore mining. However, the reason why this is so important is what we're going to see in the next episode summary is that Team 7, including Kawaki, is going to be working in conjunction with Dinky's team, which means that we are going to see Kawaki and Owabe, two characters that, according to Owabe, they got some major beef. So I can't wait to see that. So let's get into episode 233, which is going to be airing on January 23rd, which is going to be titled The New Team 7 Mobilization. So with Kawaki added to the new Team 7, they've been assigned to an escort mission for Katasuke from the Scientific Ninja Tools team. Katasuke has been invited to a ceremony in the water country. Boruto previously visited the water country while he was on a school field trip during his days in the academy. Boruto's looking forward to meeting up with Kagura, who is a ninja from the Hidden Mist village and is somebody who befriended back then on that trip. Nowadays, Kagura is the head of the prison that's been furnished with state-of-the-art equipment. To pass the time between his breaks while on missions, Boruto decides to pay Kagura a visit. However, a clan that holds a grudge against the water country begins to mobilize behind the scenes of the ceremony. So that's interesting right there. So we're seeing Kagura return, and what I like about this is that I like the fact that they're tying in from light novels. For people that do not know, the Hidden Mist Filter arc actually came from a Boruto novel. But what I like about this is that we're building further on this, because if you recall from the Hidden Mist Filter arc, one of the things we learned is that Kagura was somebody that Jojo was preparing to become the next Mizukage of the Hidden Mist Village. So I thought that was kind of cool that we see that he's being given more duties and he's guarding that prison right there. And what I like here is that what we're going to see is that Kagura is working alongside these new generation 7-inch swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village. So I do like that we're seeing more of the corner being turned there. And again, I like the idea of going back to the Mist Village and kind of exploring more of the world building. This was something that I really wish that in Naruto's manga we'd have seen more of. I know the anime had a little bit where you go into a few of these other lands. As you guys know, I'm not the biggest fan of the Naruto anime. I will say till I'm blue in the face, I've not seen every episode of the Naruto anime. I read the manga. And I've discussed a few times the issues I have with both Naruto anime, so I'm not going to rehash that here. I've always preferred Naruto's manga to the anime, and that's probably never going to change. But the fact is that, like, we didn't go into some of these villages in the Naruto manga, so that is something that I do appreciate, that we go into these villages and we see some of the culture and how things operate. Like, the most time that we spent in any village outside of the Land of Fire was the time that we spent in the Hidden Rain Village. So I do like seeing this. So episode 234 is titled The Unleashed Villain, which is going to be airing on January 30th. And in this one it says, in the midst of the ceremony that was being conducted in the water country, an airship suddenly gets blown up. Once Boruto finds out about the incident, he immediately tries to head over to the scene of the crime, but right at that moment, someone has launched an attack upon the prison that Boruto is currently visiting. Together with Kagura, Boruto decides to go and engage the enemy head-on. Even though they've finally just been reunited with one another since it had been quite a long time since they met during Boruto's last field trip, Boruto and Kagura form a united front. Will the two of them be able to form a team to break out Funato Arayumi, who is currently jailed at the facility and is the leader of a pirate gang? Wow! We got One Piece / Boruto crossing over. Wow! Not even Naruto pulled that one off. Outside of Masashi Kishimoto having Boruto draw the Straw Hat Jolly Rancher on Naruto's forehead, and Etra Oda drawing Naruto eating meat with Luffy, and Nami wearing an Akatsuki dress, and there was a box had the, I believe, the Konoha symbol or a Naruto fish cake on the back of it, but nothing in the anime, at least as far as I know. All right, man, we just gonna take that one and see where that goes. Fucking Pirates and Boruto. Wow. Wow, but I mean, didn't Naruto have some shit where, like, Naruto fought like a ninja ostrich? Like, didn't that shit happen in the anime, man? Like, I remember being on the forum seeing that shit, and I'm like, what the fuck do you mean there's a duck that's like fighting my guy in Naruto? Get the fuck out of here. I know some of you people was looking at that filler saying, man, that duck could be a good ally, man. Or that ostrich would be a good ally, whatever in the hell it was. Like, he could probably go toe-to-toe with Madara. You know you were watching that shit thinking the ostrich duck fusion was coming back. Yo, it is what it is. We got fucking pirates, man. You know, fuck it. Let's go. Yo, fuck this, man. If I see a pirate that looks like Zoro, I'm gonna mark out, man. So, episode 235, new information. So this one says, infiltrate Doto Island. It's going to be broadcasting on February 6th, and on this one it says that the neighboring seas of the water country have gotten taken over by pirates. Oh my god. I'm not cutting this out either, man. I'm fucking laughing right now. Motherfucking pirates again. I know Naruto has some shit where, like, they had like the laughing Shino shit, and they had fucking what was the shit, man? The ninja ostrich. Like, fuck it, let's go. Woo! Okay, man. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be professional from now on. Okay, take two. Dinky and the others from Team 5 have been unable to make contact with Doto, which is translated as Raging Wave Island, which is where they're conducting their ore mining mission. In order to rescue everyone from the island and support Team 5, the new Team 7 and another group, one that's spearheaded by Kagura, head over to Doto Island. However, the members of that group used to refer to themselves as the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. When Boruto and his teammates were once on the field trip, a fight unfolded between them and 3 of their members. Even though Boruto's group was wary of them due to their criminal history, they decided to cooperate with one another. As Saru, Chia, and Mitsuki make landfall as a part of the reconnaissance group, the other members of the team decide to investigate the situation in the area around the island. So I gotta say, that's interesting. So the reason why is, so you have Dinky's team, which is going to be 3 people. You have Sarda's team, which is going to be 3 people. And then you got the new 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. So you have all 7 of them, including Kagura. So that's 13 people. I'm really wondering if it's going to be revealed right now that Kagura didn't get promoted to Jonin. And the reason why is if you look at the Borkar information, which is basically information that's put in the back of the manga volumes that Ukyo Kodachi would kind of put in there to give you more about the layout in the world of the Naruto world in the Boruto era. One of the things we learn is that Jonin are leading teams on missions with the size like this. I forgot the exact term of what it was called, but this is more than what you would normally see somebody as a Chunin do. And Kagura, at the time during the Hidden Field Trip arc, was a Chunin. So I'm really wondering, just based off the fact that he's guarding a prison and now he's leading a team with 12 other people on it. You got the 6 other members of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. You got Dinky's team that brings us up to 9, and then you got Boruto's team, which should bring us up to 12 people. So I'm really wondering if he's not going to be revealed to be promoted to a Jonin. That's interesting. That's interesting right there. I mean, this has my attention. This really has my attention. The idea of going back into these villages. I'm curious to see how they kind of handle this one. Again, I'm just kind of thrown off. Ninja pirates. I guess I shouldn't be too shocked, man. Again, this is a series that went from ninjas fighting ninjas to ninjas fighting terrorist ninjas to ninjas fighting ninjas who can transform into chakra beasts to ninjas fighting against zombies to ninjas fighting against aliens, and now it's gone down from ninjas fighting aliens to ninjas fighting against cyborgs, and now it's ninjas fighting against pirates. I mean, we've been going down in this field, so I mean, I will take what we get right here. So let me know which episode you guys are most interested in. But as always, guys, if you like anything I just said, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.
From the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power, introducing the new Ego Power Push Blower, the handheld blower with unmatched power. It generates a staggering 650 cubic feet of air pressure, delivering performance that exceeds the power of gas. Featuring Ego's additive 56-volt arc lithium battery technology, it runs for over 90 minutes on a single charge. The Ego Power Plus Blower only blows innocent Ego authorized users.
back, everyone. This is my new Thor Love and Thunder video. Marvel just released a new first look at Rune King Thor and some of the other major characters' costumes, including Christian Bale's Thor the God Butcher costume, Valkyrie and Lady Thor's full armor, and what the reforged Mjolnir hammer is going to look like. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I know everybody's been asking, when are they going to finally do Rune King Thor in the MCU? Most powerful version of Thor ever. He's almost too powerful to use in a story, so I'll try to explain how I think they're adapting his storyline just based on what they're pitching us in this new promo. The other funny thing about Thor Love and Thunder is it is actually the first big Marvel Phase 4 movie that isn't directly influenced or tied to the events of Spider-Man No Way Home. There is a little bit of timeline overlap that I'll explain, but it's hard to talk about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness without talking about what happened in Spider-Man No Way Home. But all the stuff that's going on with Thor the God Butcher, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Asgardians of the Galaxy, doesn't really have anything to do with Doctor Strange's spells, either the first one or the second one, or any of the multiverse characters from No Way Home. So no worries if you have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home yet. I know there's still a couple of countries that, for some strange reason, have not gotten the movie yet. There was a minor Thor Love and Thunder Easter egg in Spider-Man No Way Home, but it's just like a really quick blink and you'll miss it Easter egg. It's the Daily Bugle scene just referencing political turmoil in New Asgard, which is all about Valkyrie becoming their new ruler after Avengers Endgame and how, practically speaking, not everybody in New Asgard and the Nine Realms is happy with the changes, quote-unquote, that she's making. Remember that scene at the end of Avengers Endgame where she said her whole deal for accepting Thor's offer was that she would be making changes?
You know, I'd make a lot of changes about it.
Oh, God. Your Majesty.
So that's probably why there's political turmoil during the events of Spider-Man No Way Home. And if it wasn't clear, the events of Spider-Man No Way Home are supposed to take place before Thor Love and Thunder. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness might be happening around the same time Thor and Thor the God Butcher start throwing down. Usually there's a little bit of overlap between all the Marvel movies, but Gore, Jane Foster, Lady Thor, they aren't meant to be multiverse characters, even though Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness are very much multiverse movies. Thor Love and Thunder is going to get more into the mythology of the gods of the MCU. But what it seems like they're doing with Rune King Thor, just based on his costume here, I'm calling him Rune King Thor because clearly his costume is inspired by Rune King Thor's costume with the mixture of the blues and the gold, is that during the movie they're just going to make Thor the most powerful that he's ever been. And that's basically who Rune King Thor was supposed to be, if you haven't read that run in the comics. It's a fairly self-contained story, so I will explain what happened during the comic book version and how I think they're going to change some of that for the movies. In that story, Thor goes through Ragnarok like they did in the MCU, and almost all of his family, all of his allies and friends die, and he decides that he must seek the wisdom of Odin so that he can understand how to become a true god. He decides to truly embrace his potential as a god, which was the whole deal at the end of Ragnarok. Are you the god of hammers? Like, basically Odin was trying to explain to him that you never needed the hammer. You already had all this power within you the whole time. But in the MCU, he went through that whole arc during Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame and was kind of laid low. So at the end of Avengers Endgame, he goes with the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Asgardians of the Galaxy, on a journey of self-discovery, kind of like Rune King Thor went on, to attain true wisdom. So Thor is trying to gain the Odin Force, and the Odin Force is basically the combined life energy of Odin and his two brothers. It was created when the three of them fought Surtur for the first time. Odin's brothers died, but Odin absorbed their life energy, creating the Odin Force, and that gave him the power-up to defeat Surtur for the first time. They actually referenced that at the beginning of the Thor Ragnarok movie, when Thor is joking with Surtur, "Didn't my father kill you like 1,000,000 years ago?" That was basically the event that created the Odin Force.
Surtur, son of a bitch, you're still alive. I thought my father killed you like 500,000 years ago.
So after Ragnarok, Odin is dead. Thor does not have the Odin Force. The Odin Force just kind of becomes this disembodied power just floating around the universe. And it visits Thor and explains to him how he can attain the power that Odin had. But in order to do that, he has to follow a similar path. But the Odin Force tells Thor, do you just want what Odin had, or do you want more? Do you want to take this further? Do you want to gain the full potential of the power that you can wield? So in order to do that, he has to sacrifice way more than Odin ever sacrificed. And this plays on a lot of Norse mythology tropes. He learns that Odin sacrificed one of his eyes, the Well of Ymir, to gain cosmic knowledge, so Thor sacrifices both of his eyes and essentially becomes omniscient. He gains so much cosmic power that he can see through time, he can see all timelines, and then gains the full power of the runes, and that's why he's called Rune King Thor. The runes are basically this Asgardian cosmic artifact that give the wielder knowledge that he wouldn't normally be able to obtain. And the more you go through, the more you sacrifice, the greater access to the runes you have. And the whole idea is that Odin was only wielding the runes at about half of their potential. But Thor, in sacrificing twice as much as Odin, gains twice the power, gains full access to the runes. So essentially he goes from being a little G god to a capital G god. Like celestial level character, omniscient, omnipotent, pretty much unkillable for anyone except for the highest order of cosmic characters like the Beyonder or the one above all, the Living Tribunal. You get the idea. In the comics, Odin was able to hand Galactus' ass, so if Rune King Thor is twice as powerful as Odin was, he becomes so powerful he's like a cosmic entity in his own right now. But because that's too powerful to use in like normal Marvel stories, like it's just way too OP. In order to bring him back down to normal levels, they said that this ultimate god tier Thor basically went into this cosmic sleep state, kind of becoming one with the universe, and eventually a version of Odin was reborn, reclaimed the Odin Force for himself, and then a version of Thor returned to Earth, the Nine Realms, vastly depowered. So heading into Marvel Phase 4 and beyond, Chris Hemsworth said that he did want to keep coming back for more Marvel movies as the Thor character after Thor Love and Thunder, so I don't think they're going to do the exact Rune King Thor storyline for him. Like, he'll just become more of a god in the true sense of the word, and embrace more of a grander cosmic role. Like, he'll start spending more time helping the entire universe, not just Asgard and Earth. Cosmic level threats, responsibilities, and it'll be a way to explain why he's not around for every single event. Like, oh, Thor is dealing with cosmic level problems. He doesn't have time to deal with these small Earth level problems. And that'll be a way of explaining how Valkyrie can still continue ruling over Asgard, because Thor is dealing with even bigger cosmic threats. Valkyrie's new costume looks more like a combination of her white Valkyrie armor and Thor's armor without the sleeves. Like, everyone in this movie is going guns out, full on. Everyone wants you to buy 2 tickets to the gun show, even Natalie Portman. The metal pattern at the bottom looks kind of like the Asgardian version of chainmail. Also, it seems like it's based on the new comic book Valkyrie's costume, who is also Jane Foster. That's right, Jane Foster is like the newest Valkyrie. She becomes Valkyrie after she stops being Lady Thor and wielding Mjolnir. Jane Foster's Lady Thor costume looks kind of like a combination of comic book Lady Thor and Thor's old MCU costume, with a little added red material just to give it some color and make it pop a little more on screen. The other really important thing here is Mjolnir. This confirms my theory from earlier this year. The version of Thor's hammer that she wields is just the original hammer that reforms itself through its magic, or Odin's enchantment. Notice all the cracks that are laced with magical energy pouring out? That's the same energy you saw when Hela destroyed the hammer. In the movie, it seems like the Asgardians create 2 special shrines here. This large shrine is just the site where Odin died on the cliffside, so it's meant to be a memorial to him. And they created another smaller one here at the site where Mjolnir was destroyed. Like, they didn't move the pieces of the broken hammer, they just placed them on this pedestal here. So what they're implying here in this scene is that something happens in Asgard, maybe, or the God Butcher shows up and starts killing a whole bunch of people, and Jane Foster is standing near Odin's memorial and the pieces of Mjolnir, and maybe she touches one of the broken pieces, and the magic of the hammer or Odin's original enchantment just deems her worthy. She fulfills the qualifications, and that automatically causes the hammer to reform itself, gives her her powers and her armor. The original enchantment just read, "Whosoever holds this hammer, if they be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor." So that's a broad enough magical enchantment that as long as Natalie Portman's Jane Foster touches one of the pieces in whatever the circumstances are, whatever's going on around this, it deems her worthy, and that reactivates it. Like I said, though, she's also guns out, and she has the blonde hair from comic book Lady Thor. The reason why they did that in the comics, though, the reason why the enchantment changed her hair color, mostly was a way to hide her identity, because it was meant to be this big mystery when she was first introduced. Like, who is this person? But since we already know that it's Jane Foster in the MCU, in the movie, they might not be doing the whole secret identity thing. As for Gore the God Butcher's costume, this is just what he looks like on set. Obviously, this is meant to be a little bit of mocap, so they'll tune this way, way up in post-production with special effects. You can kind of see how they're trying to make him look kind of like comic book Thor with the Negro sword, with the way it kind of billows around him. Like, the sword itself gives him this black cloak. I know there are a lot of Venom questions, too, because of all the recent Venom multiverse crossover, but I don't think they're going to say that the Negro sword in this movie, or the power that Gore wields, is the primal symbiote. If they want to do that, I think later on they'll just kind of retcon it in quietly, the way they do that every once in a while in the MCU. But everybody, let me know in the comments, what do you think about Rune King Thor's costume in the movie? I know everybody's just excited to see the most powerful version of Thor that you've ever seen in the MCU. They'll probably release the first Thor Love and Thunder trailer when Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness hits theaters in a couple months. We should see some more footage from the movie pretty soon. Click here for my brand new Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness video, and click here for my Spider-Man No Way Home alternate ending video and deleted scenes. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Good luck with the future in-laws tonight.
Don't overthink it. Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
What is the video like? Might be wrong to have things.
You don't understand what we're up against.
What's up, guys? Jeff Cavalier, Athletics.com. So today we're talking about protein. Actually, 10 foods that you probably never knew had as much protein in them as they do. As a matter of fact, guys, when it comes to building muscle, we know that protein is an essential part of the recipe, but these undercover proteins are ones that sort of go overlooked. After today's video, no more. But I'm not going to stop there because I think it's important that you know not only which foods have this amount of protein in them, but the quantities that you're going to be expected to eat to get that. Tell me 3 ounces, I might not know what that even means. I'm going to try to make that helpful for you by showing you what an actual portion size is. So that said, guys, let's start breaking them down one by one. So I think it's fair to point out, however, that there's a big discrepancy in what people think is an adequate level or sufficient level of protein that you should take into the day. Some will say as low as 0.5 grams per pound of body weight, and some will say as high as 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. I'm going to fall in that range of 0.7 to 1. And oftentimes we rely on the old reliables: chicken, fish, eggs, beef, or even milk. Guys, you know, all the old school bodybuilder staples. Well, the fact is, those other things that are sitting right there in plain sight, you're overlooking right now. But if you knew where to look, you'd have some new opportunities. The first thing you should be looking for is this. Some might be thinking, pasta, that's a carbohydrate. Well, whole wheat pasta also provides quite a bit of protein too, actually 7.5 grams per cup of whole wheat pasta. And I talked about showing you what this actually looks like because regardless of what type of pasta or what shape I'm showing you here, we can all agree there's really not that much on the plate. So realistically, we actually probably eat twice as much in the serving, which puts this number at about 15 grams. Now, while this source of protein is not a complete source of protein, there are ways that we can fix that. As a matter of fact, the next food does a great job of that. So Mom and Dad were right about this next food because it packs a powerful protein punch. You should have been eating them all along, or at least not eating them from the dog, or putting a napkin in, throwing them in the garbage. Listen, I digress. The fact is you should be eating peas, because peas have a lot more protein than you think they might. As a matter of fact, 4 grams of protein per half a cup. And once again, this is a half a cup. It's not a lot of peas. God forbid if you actually double this dose here, you're at 1 cup, you got 8 grams of protein. Now we know that pea protein is one of the main constituents of vegan sources of protein powders. It does have an ability to drive your protein totals up, but again, in an incomplete way. But guess what? I mentioned the pasta, throw your peas on top of your whole wheat pasta, now you've got a complete protein. You've got a great way to amp up those protein totals without a lot of effort. So this next food comes in a pretty obvious category when it comes to looking for more protein, and that's dairy. But it's where it sits in this category and how much above the others that it does sit that makes this one pretty special. We're talking about cheese, in particular, grated Parmesan cheese. Now, I'll get to this in a second, but Parmesan Reggiano is different than other regular Parmesan. But we're talking about how much? 11 grams of protein per ounce. And again, you're looking at an ounce of peas here, it's not a lot. Many of you probably eat more than that, so these totals are going to continue to go up. But when we look at what it compares to, we're talking about 6 grams for something like cheddar cheese. So this one stands alone at the top in terms of the high protein content per gram. That being said, the Italian meat is going to make it impossible to not finish this segment